In a world where podcasting is king, you are listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Who shot you in the ass?
Who? That who would be you.
Me? I shot you?
Yeah.
I mean, I was shooting. Yeah, I did a lot of shooting. I mean, but I ain't saying I shot you in the ass. I mean, I ain't saying I didn't shoot you. But damn! Somebody shot you in the ass.
Tell me about it.
Alright everybody, welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, and joining me always is the Soul Bro and the Chris. Oh, March the 1st.
What? Why are you stealing the thunder of the segment, bro?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sneak preview. Oh,
Well, he's
right.
he's doing heel turn, like what happened to John Cena. John Cena heel turn finally. The worst heel turn, the most predictable heel turn ever. But Chris, how's it going, man? How is it going? How's the life of a banning fool?
You know, banning people left and right, and you know, like I'm a power mad near with delusions of godhood.
Oh, okay. So you're signing those banning orders every time you get a chance. You're banned. You're banned.
Yes.
So yes, this is episode 309 of Gundam and MAHQ, and yes, we're going to be doing tonight's topics is something we did last year, and it's kind of an interesting thing. We're going to be talking about some of the things that happened in a particular year. So it's 2025, so we went back about 40 years, and we're going to start off with 1985, just like we did last year, which we were doing. What was it? 1984. 1994, 2004, and 2014. So we'll be talking about all the little, games, movies, TV series, some of the things that kind of happened during that time. So, we'll be doing 1985. And unfortunately, though, because of what we did last year, we had Pedro join us. But unfortunately, he's a little under the weather, and he couldn't join us, so we hope that he's doing well, and we hope to have him back for 1995. Because gosh knows what's going to happen there. So,
This unfortunately was not the one to miss, because tomorrow is his 40th birthday, so 1985 is literally his year.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
But he's here in spirit with us, and we wish him well.
Yep. And we put this out to him, and I guess we'll have to give happy early birthday, and I guess we'll have to give him more airtime during 1985.
Hey, Sobro, Yahtzee says your mic is muted. Dude, like
every time.
So
can you like put like a post-it
yes.
on your arm or something, some kind of thing to help you remember to stop doing this very dumb thing every single episode, dude?
It's on a different screen, so I usually have a routine. and
But
I'm gonna
use
press it.
use
It's
a
the last.
post-it.
It's the last step.
Use a
Use a
post-it.
post-it
I'll
or
put
a
a post
piece
in.
of string
I'll
or
do
some
that.
kind of fucking thing.
I got you. I'll do that. Every single
Yeah, remember.
Yazzie, thank you, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, remember in the
Sometimes a
Apollo.
low-tech solution is best.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, remember in Apollo 13
Mhm.
when they put the post-its up there like don't touch this or you'll blow up. That's what you need. You're like do this. Make sure Mike is this in this position. Make sure mute button is on.
Yeah, I do need a flight check. So yeah, I'll
You
post it now.
do. Yeah,
I do.
you need the
It's
pre-flight
because
checklist.
my mic is local, so it's separate from y'all. Y'all are like on a global sound. So when I unmute you guys, right after that, I'm supposed to hit the unmute on the stream program I have, so that way they can hear my voice at the same time. So it's the one step I forget because I'm so making sure things don't fucking
Posted.
crash out of control with me. But it's okay.
Post
It's
it.
no excuse.
Post it.
I'll put a
Post it.
Just
list.
figure out a
checklist.
way that it doesn't happen again because
Yeah.
this is literally the dumbest fucking thing in the world, dude.
This
This is dumb.
It's silly. I will say. But back to y'all.
But for some reason, Yazzie's like the unofficial fourth member because it's always like, "So, bro, your mic's muted."
All right. Oh, by the way, Robin, do I sound better? I just raised my mic up a little bit, so let me know if my voice is lower. I can fix that. So no worries.
So, all right, guys. So, anything as I go over to do some Larry King or do some news, listener submitted news articles in the Larry King Memorial News Studio?
Actually, have a couple of MHQ announcements.
Ooh, okay.
Quite a few. So, first, some housekeeping. So, for simplicity of branding, we've made some changes to some of our URLs. So, the Facebook group is no longer MAHQ1. It is now MAHQ DOT just like the rest of our socials. So, um,
Okay.
we just wanted to unify that. Also, the handle for our YouTube channel is now MAHQ DOT. So keep that in mind. As far as MAHQ site news, you can go check out. I posted my impressions, not a review, but impressions, a new thing I'm doing of the G-Quux compilation movie. So go read that. And another thing on MHQ is that this week we announced we're setting up a Ko-fi page, and I wrote about it in the post, but just briefly to recap the reason for this. MHQ has never been a big moneymaker. We're not up there like partying on the Las Vegas Strip. And unfortunately, advertising revenues have really gone through the shitter, but hosting costs have increased, especially since now we have high quality art for pretty much everything. So, that's a much higher bill. So our costs are going up as the revenue is going down. So we're doing this as an appeal to the goodwill of the community. So just so that we're clear, MHQ is not in any danger of shutting down. It's just getting to the point that if something doesn't change, that Dale and I will have to dip into our own pockets to keep everything afloat. So we set up this Ko-fi page, and I know especially in the U.S. right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about where anything and everything is going on a day-to-day basis. But if you find yourself in a financially stable position and you're able to toss us some cash, whether that's one-time donation or if you can do a monthly, we would appreciate the help. But again, only if you are in a position to do so. I don't want anybody breaking bank to help me out if you've got like serious bills to pay and you're like struggling to keep food on the table. We don't need that kind of support. You can just, visit us and listen to the podcast and say a nice word here and there. That's all we need from you. But if you can help, want to help, we would appreciate that as well. So you'll find the links to that Ko-fi page on our socials, and there's also a widget on the site now. And again, thank you in advance to anyone who can or might be able to keep this community running.
So yeah, you're not a televangelist or an American president. You're not looking for people going hungry to send their last $10.
I'm gonna have Tamino memos manufactured in China, and I'll put my name on them and sell them for $100 a piece.
Yeah. So, but no, yeah, definitely support if you can. Yes, it's a bad world where wife beaters have some of the biggest podcasts in the world, and we're sitting here asking you for a few bucks. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, maybe
do
we
that.
should engage in domestic abuse. Is the
Exactly.
takeaway from that, and then
And maybe
keep rolling
conspiracy
in it.
theories. That's another.
Some
That seems
light human trafficking.
right.
Anybody needs some housekeepers? I don't know. Like, I got you.
Jesus Christ.
Or maybe maybe we should just adopt the phrase of I know what you mean. That's interesting. Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Hamburgers are made of ham, huh? What? But okay. Anything else, Chris?
As he says, engage in Zoids reviews. Sir, I have standards. I will traffic human
Not that
beings
bad.
before I do Zoids reviews.
It's not that bad,
keep that in
Yaz.
mind, sir. Let's have some perspective, sir.
I'd rather the site go offline than do Zoids reviews.
I'll burn every server to the ground that MAHQ was hosted on, and I'll destroy the Internet Archive.
That is the ultimate ethical dilemma, though, Chris. I mean, what if you have some angel investor that's just like, Chris, I've enjoyed MAHQ for many years, but the one thing that I just never see is any Zoids, because I'm a huge Zoids fan, and I'll do an endowment where we'll just sit there and make money for you, and you can do all your hosting and even pay yourself a salary. But you just got to do some Zoids content.
Yeah, and the plot twist is that guy is Peter Thiel.
Oh, gross.
Like, do you think you could do some more eugenics on the site too? Like, there's really on there, and I'd love to see some of that really take hold. Maybe you could have some some pro Xeon articles too.
Exactly, Xeon was right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Okay. Anything else, Chris?
That's it for now.
All right. So, bro, anything on your side before we go into some Neo's listener submitted news?
The only thing I would like to say is you guys probably have heard this is more of a kind of a social issue than anything, but a couple days ago at the end of February there was a economic blackout that took place on February 28th. It was asked of people to not spend a dime if you could help it, unless you had to get something essential. Well, this week, starting in just a few hours, is or less than 2 hours, over here on the East Coast, is the Amazon boycott from the 7th of March to the 14th. If you haven't bought what you need off of Amazon, if you could do it now, so then when this week starts, something, or not, it's up to you, or find an alternative way to purchase your stuff.
So, bro,
yes.
Do you understand though that saying something like that, like if you haven't bought what you need on Amazon, do it now, that kind of defeats the whole point of there being an economic boycott.
I'm
if
just
you're
saying
just still buying the stuff in advance.
Let me rephrase.
The whole idea is you don't buy anything at all.
Sometimes
deny them money.
Fair point.
Because you're actually smoothing out their sales. Because in the end, they'll go like, "Oh, for 3 days we didn't have sales, but we had these unusual uptick, which is like." Almost like 3 days worth of.
If there's a spike beforehand, is a moot point. So But at the end of the day, with this thing going on, because some people are just finding about this right now. But it's going on from the 7th through the 14th. If you can refrain from buying anything from Amazon, period, that would be fantastic. Just to show them that the stance they're taking with
DEI why do just 3 days? Like. You can buy a lot of their stuff. Or whatever. But
no, if you want,
why use them at all? Yeah.
I'm not telling people to jump right back on afterwards. I'm just saying those days is to help make a statement and
Because
stand
I'll be
towards the
honest
community.
with you,
But if you could find an
I
alternative period, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not um I'm not a really big Amazon guy. Plus, I'm not working right now, so I'm not really buying a lot on there. Period. But my wife does, and so she is definitely not purchasing anything for the next 7 days, if anything. And she's actually looking for alternatives too. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, buying directly
So,
from
bro, I'm still
sellers,
getting mic complaints on you in the chat. So
it's
yeah.
still what?
uh,
Oh,
get
wow.
yourself together.
I do not understand that. My volume is all the way up, but
You're
no
you're
worries.
you're not firing on all cylinders this episode, so bro.
Yeah, it's anyway.
This is not your night.
It's not my night.
You're not. All right, let me go into the news while Sobro fixes
You do
his
that,
mic.
but
So, but yes, if you ever have any news articles, always go to the Neos listeners submit news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And the first one here comes from MCT Dread and it's from Variety.com. Wow, this is like an actual website. It looks like G Kids has acquired the upcoming Mobile Suit Gundam film for North America. That's the title, and you go in there, and it's
That's kind of old news because it already happened, and the last screening is today.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has been we haven't had news in two episodes, so, but okay, so yeah, there you go. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Joe Janison, for killing my story there. So let's see here. Next one, because I'm trying to just go through the stuff that we missed. Okay. What about several minutes of Macross Dynamite 7 streaming release cut in Japan globally? Did we talk about that? Is that old news, Chris?
Not since we have not done any news in a while, but yes, this was a storm when the news came up. So you all remember Dynamite 7, right?
I do.
You remember that completely awful and useless subplot about that pedophile lady trying to rape Mylene?
Yeah.
That's what they cut.
Oh, okay. Cool. So, yeah. So, not a big deal. So, because Disney Plus began streaming Macross Dynamite 7 in Japan on July 17th, then streamed the series in several countries overseas in August. Hulu followed suit in the United States on January 13th. Okay, so they cut that out. I mean, what do you think, Chris? I mean, it was just a dumb subplot, right? That never really did anything.
It's a horrible and unnecessary subplot at the time. It was a mistake to do it at the time. And, on the one hand, censorship bad? Yes. On the other hand, am I going to choose to die on the hill of demanding uncut footage of the attempted rape of a 15-year-old child? No, I am not going to die on that hill. So it's like, you know what? You can still download rips. You can still get it on the Blu-rays in Japan. Like, pick a better hill to die on than this. This is not the one. This is not it.
Yeah, because I remember even watching it, I felt creepy about it, and it also
because it's fucking gross,
and it didn't make any sense. And in the end, it's like, so yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm with you on that. Yeah, there comes a point. Yes, you're correct. Censorship is bad, but sometimes you have to die on the hill on certain things, and this is not the one to do it on. Because really, what's it going to do? I mean, I don't know. So, but okay. MCT Dread comes back. Oh man, this is a funny one. Talking about Disney. Disney's $1 billion Star Wars hotel to be converted to offices for future Walt Disney World projects. Yeah, that's that whole that was that whole, what was it, Galaxy Liner? Oh, Galaxy Star Cruiser. Yeah, that was the whole thing. It was like what, like 5,000 a night or something. It was like just some ungodly amount for you to be. It didn't even sound like a vacation. It
was like
seemed like
$1,200 per person per night. I think Dale actually did it.
Oh wow!
Did he?
I think he
did.
Did,
he like it?
He was going to. I never checked in with him to see if he actually had done it, but yeah, it's not cheap. And yes, you're in this building that has no windows because you're simulating being in um, inside a star cruiser, and to get out you have to take a shuttle out of the docking bay, and that shuttle is a bus with like no windows as well to take you down to the planet, which is Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and didn't they wake you up at times too? Like I heard that was the other thing, where they all of a sudden there'd be like, "Oh, there's an attack," and like you got to scramble fighters or something. It just didn't.
I don't know about that.
I would hear these things, I would see these things about it, and it just never. It never seemed like it was like. I don't know. I'm surprised, but yeah, it opened on March 1st, 2022, so that was a good time to open, and closed the following September. And yeah, so according to sources, individual close to the company, the building formerly housed the immersive adventure, which is located near Disney's Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World, has been converted into offices for Walt Disney Imagineering, the secretive arm of the company responsible for the theme park attractions, retail shops, and cruise ships. So, yeah, I mean, jeez, talk about a freaking accounting write-off.
There's a very good a take of it online, a documentary of sorts of someone who actually went and did it. Her name's Jenny Nicholson. She did a 4-hour video on YouTube talking about her experience going there, the pros, the cons, all that stuff. It's got 12 million views on YouTube. It was pretty popular of a take. I mean, she ultimately is not crazy about
Was
it.
it worth it?
And probably I haven't watched the whole thing, but from what I've heard of her take, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. But she has footage, she has all this stuff throughout the video, and
They allowed you to do footage? I'm surprised about that.
She brought it, so it's all throughout the video. You'll see it in there, but yeah, it's a pretty cool video from the first hour I watched anyway, and
oh my god.
Jenny's a fun talent on YouTube anyway, but yeah, it's definitely got her a lot of attention when she went and did it. So yeah, if you want to know what it was like before they shut it down.
4-hour YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
not asking y'all to sit down and watch it all at once. I'm just saying that you can skip through it if you want, but if you're curious, you can check that out. So there you go.
Yeah. I remember seeing it. I was like, I felt it was like really just I'm surprised it ever got approved. Because it just seemed like such a finite amount of people that would be able to do that. Like, it didn't seem like there'd be. I don't know. It didn't seem. It was not a smart.
The problem was
move.
It was approved. It's the problem is that they charged this absolutely insane amount that
was
unaffordable to anyone.
Yeah,
like a hotel is just a fucking hotel, especially if it's Star Wars decorated. This is not like fucking gold toilets and platinum bed frames. Like, there's no reason for it to have been so unaffordable.
And that's probably where the big problem with us, because this is one of those things where it probably made more sense to, even in the first couple of years, to lose money on it just to get people
to
the
word out.
Yeah, because $1,200 a night. Why would you do? I mean, what to do that? No, I'm going to go to the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, if I'm going to spend $1,200,
mind you, like for comparison, like Disney's like most premium hotels on the Disney World property are the Grand Floridian and the Polynesian, which are like $500 a night.
Yeah. So.
And you want somebody to pay more than double that for like a frickin' basically Star Wars LARP hotel.
Exactly. It's
a lot to ask for.
Where I could just go across the pond and sit at like either the Polynesian, which is a beautiful hotel, and the Grand Floridian, which is a really beautiful hotel, and
both recently remodeled.
And relax. not have to like do work. So yeah, bad mistake, and they should pay, and they are. So, but I guess Imagineering's got great new offices. So, cool. Next one here comes from MCT Dread. Gundam live action film gets co-financed by Bandai Namco Filmworks and Legendary. Oh, wow. So
it's not really news.
Any budget?
That's already the same news we've had for years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. So you think this is going to happen, Chris? Honestly, or is this just going to be in development hell?
I think it's going to be.
Feels,
I mean, it has been. It has been. You know, they had a director who turned out to be a sex pest, so thankfully he's gone. You know, they had Brian Vaughn as a screenwriter, and he's a great writer, but he's gone. So, you know, I would need to see something to have any kind of like interest in this. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but you know, I also thought the Seed movie was dead, so obviously I don't know anything.
It took 20. It took 20 years though, so you had every right to think it was dead.
This might take 20 years as well.
Yeah, you're right. It could.
And yeah, right.
Like, in 20 years, I could be like, well, I thought the Gundam live-action movie was never going to happen, but I was wrong again. So
all right,
let's review it right now.
Yeah, well, here's the other question then for both of you. What would happen first? Gundam live-action movie or Macross live-action movie? Or I'm sorry, Robotech one. Robotech live action.
Gundam hand over fist.
Gundam for sure.
Yes, that's what the smart money is.
Hey,
but this movie is the vision that Carl wrote down on a piece of toilet paper before he died.
This is the vision that Carl was writing before he ends it. We're saying, call 911, having heart attack. I don't know if he had a heart attack, but I'm just saying. Oh wow, yeah. I still laugh that me and Silbro sat at a freaking hall in Comic-Con at the San Diego Convention Center
2008
about the Robotech live action movie.
Yeah, bringing up names like Tobey Maguire and
he's
Leonardo
gonna be
DiCaprio
or
and some shit. It's like, yeah, we'll see. And here we are at 2025. Ain't shit happening.
Yeah.
Hey, Silbro.
Yes.
Which is the bigger like vaporware disappointment to you? Live action Robotech movie or from the same time Mobile Ops The 1 Year War?
Oh god damn it.
Oh.
Well, we eventually got some version of Mobile Ops. We did get some version of it eventually. So the movie at this point, but even more so, most of the Lucasfilm lineup they announce ahead of time and anything never gets made. So add that to the list. But at least we got a version of Mobile Ops out here that I didn't play probably more than once. But I think we'll eventually see this movie come out in some form. Probably be its own original property. It just takes the right creative team to get in there and do it, and enough momentum to go towards it, and for them to take that chance. So it looks like they're slowly working up to it. This could end up in development hell, like many other films before it. Spider-Man was in development hell for fucking years before it got made. So we'll see what becomes of this. Hopefully, this does take off some way, shape, or form, and it's good. I'd rather not see it if it's trash. So keep working at it, and when y'all got something that's
well, you're gonna see it if it's trashed anyway.
Yeah,
so,
fair point. I mean, that's my hope.
You don't really have a choice in the matter.
I don't, but I just, if you're gonna do it right. Take your time. I'm not rushing y'all. Please don't rush this project. Just get it done right. But that's my take.
Yeah, but Timothy Chalamet's not getting any younger. So I mean, that is got to be my armor array. I mean, come on.
No, man, he's got to be sharp, man. Put a blonde wig on him.
No.
Armor array is Asian to some degree. Let's keep it a buck.
Yahtzee in the chat says we'll see the Tekken versus Street Fighter PS3 game before the Robotech movie.
Yes.
Wow.
That ain't ever coming out.
Come on, man. Come on, no.
He's right, though.
Chalamet is he's Adam Ray, and then you're gonna have Chris Helmsworth as Samuel Law.
Adam Ray, the comedian.
They're gonna just change the name slightly. No, Char will be who's like a hot actor right now that could be Char.
Ryan Gosling. Who knows? People, I see mock-ups of him as Char all the time, which is like he's too old for Char now.
He's so old.
He's so old, y'all. Y'all need to stop.
Old, yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, we need somebody younger, man. Come on. Of course, yes. You'll have your Nick Offerman, Robert Rawl. I mean,
what's the name of that dude that was in Top Gun with I forget his name, but he's in all sorts of stuff
Rooster?
Now. Huh? What's that?
Rooster, the guy that was Rooster.
I want to say
the other guy,
Glenn something, Glenn Powell.
Oh, that guy.
Glenn Powell.
Yeah,
he should be Slager, to be honest. But that's
So
just me.
what British guy is going to be bright? Because we have to have him British in this. I mean, come on.
You got me on that one. I'm trying to think of young English actors, but all the ones I can think of are like in their 30s and 40s. So I'll have to come back to me on that.
But Sabrina Carpenter is Sayla. Come on, that's a good one.
I thought you would have said that girl from the one chick from Euphoria, not Zendaya, but the blonde in that show. I forget her name, but
Sydney Sweeney.
Yes, sir. That's that as her as Sayla. Wouldn't be too bad, I guess. But
really,
yeah. I mean, I've only seen her act once, so I'm just saying she looks the part, if anything.
Why? Because she's blonde.
Yep, she's got that.
Yeah.
As Neil likes to say, she has that classic white person look. Neil's words.
Sabrina.
Neil's words.
Well, she does. I mean,
Yes.
she's
Well, Tamino might emerge from somewhere to say her nipples are pink because I saw it on Euphoria. Therefore, she's appropriate to play Sailor.
Done.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And then what? Who would be Rio? I mean, what Spanish guy would be that? So
many questions. I have no clue.
no, it's got it.
We got to move on to actually get to the
gotta
topic.
happen.
Yeah, we gotta.
We're spending too much time on the news now.
All right, let me see. Anything else? Halo gets a surprise streaming home at Netflix. Oh, does that mean they're gonna get a season 3? I wish. Oh my god, that would be. Wow, so Paramount just sold this shit off to freaking. God, they fire sailed it to Netflix. Damn it! Do you think Netflix will do a season 3? And this
Of
is
Halo?
from MCT Dread.
Yeah.
Did they make season 3, or did they not make it yet?
We only got 1 and 2, and
There is no season 3.
after it got
They
sold,
never started 3,
no,
right?
No,
Okay.
no. But that's the talk now, is that we might get a season 3. No promises yet, but I guess it depends on what Netflix wants to do, if that proves popular on their platform. So we'll find out.
Here's what I would rather Netflix do, because I don't care about more Halo. Give me a season 3 of Prodigy.
Yeah, absolutely. Or movies.
Oh, yeah.
Animated movies. I would love that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
True.
My wife just went on the Star Trek cruise. She just came back last week, and she saw Kate Mulgrew was one of the last panels, and apparently she hinted towards the fact that she's in talks with Paramount. So super cool to hear. I don't know for what project coming up, but it's not Prodigy. She made that clear, but for some kind of live action project. And apparently also William Shatner's being courted somewhat by Paramount too for something. So I didn't see it in the news here, but if anything, that's also happening out there in the wild. But back to y'all.
MCT Dread comes back with Mobile Suit Gundam Geox. TV anime premieres April 8th. So you guys excited? I haven't seen the movie, disclaimer, so I haven't seen it. So, but yeah, the premiere on Japanese television April 8th. And so yeah,
There's
going to be some.
I know there's additional
More
news
content.
that someone here on the show also contributed about that. Chris, anything you wanted to add about that bit of news?
Well, thank you for screwing my news up, but that's okay.
To say since we're on the subject.
Well, we just found out that G-Quux is going to be streaming worldwide on Amazon. Which, a lot of people are not happy about because, for one, Amazon is a fucking bully and throws you commercials even if you pay for their higher level plans. And I'm not giving Jeff Bezos an extra $3 a month for they added ads last year, so you have to pay an extra $3 a month if you had the regular plan to not get ads.
Are you kidding me? So they sat there and said you could pay extra money, not get ads, and they're still going to give you ads? Oh yes. My God. Why isn't, and I'm a shareholder, and I'm like, why isn't this company just like destroyed? I mean, for what? So we can just pay more of his bad, ill-fitting shirts so he can have his midlife crisis with a plastic lady?
Yes.
So, I mean, come on.
But anyway, yeah, the other issue is that Amazon is absolutely terrible about promoting
Yeah.
anime,
Yeah.
their platforms. So I don't know how much attention this is gonna get. Like you're telling me this is gonna get like, as much attention as like Jack Ryan or Reacher. Like, no, we know that's not. So it's like, is it just being sent there to die?
It is weird. Why would they do that? Yeah. I mean, it
It
seems
just
like the
seems
more,
like Bandai wants to avoid Crunchyroll at all costs because
but
they've
it
been
seems
going
like,
out of their way to not have stuff be on Crunchyroll.
but why not just go to Netflix? Because I think Netflix would be,
Netflix
I
is not
mean,
much better when it comes to promoting anime, and
yeah,
animation in general. I mean, I was just talking to someone today. Remember the Pacific Rim
Yeah.
animated series
Certainly.
that they
yeah,
gave zero promotion to, and you had to wait, almost an entire year just to get the back half of those 6
yeah,
episodes. So
yeah.
none of these streaming services that are not anime focused are any good at promoting anime. That's just the simple truth of it.
Then why buy it? I mean, that's the thing. I don't get
Well,
it.
because
Like,
anime is hot, it's like there's people that are watching stuff regardless, I guess, but they don't seem to care to put any promotion into it.
yeah, and they put promotion in their bad stuff. That's the crazy thing. So I don't know. All right. Cool. And yeah, another one here from MCT Dread. I guess all the speaking, I guess all the Star Wars nerds were rejoicing on this. Star Wars boss Kathleen Kennedy planning to exit Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. Oh, I guess they'll all get
That's
their
not
Star Wars.
correct.
It's not.
It
No,
got updated later.
not
Yeah.
What?
There might be another news article that updates you on that.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go down there.
It's been
Yeah,
a lot of
Gene
twists and
every
Hackman.
once
turns.
in a while,
Yeah.
people start spreading rumors that she's retiring. It's, it's like the vaporware news of, Duke Nukem Forever back in the day. Like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy's finally leaving. Yay, fuck her. She runs
Yeah,
Star Wars.
there's
So all these nerds
there's
just
no,
get whipped up into a fury about any of these rumors of her retiring, and it never turns out to be true.
Yeah.
actually, you know what? There's no update on that, but I'm with you on it. If you guys are saying that's bullshit, I'm just gonna end
She's
on
come
this
out and
one.
said she's not retiring anytime soon.
Yeah. She had
Yeah,
an interview.
fuck you, nerds.
Basically
You know
refuting
what? Good for her. You know what?
Yeah.
Fuck you, nerds.
That's what I said too. I said, look,
Yeah.
as soon as these cats smell blood in the water, they want to jump down her throat and
Yeah.
say good riddance. But it's like, look, man, she's had hit and misses with Star Wars. Star Wars has been mismanaged, but by not just her alone. It's a bunch of people. She is the captain of the ship, so she has to assume some responsibility. But at the same time, I'm not out for blood when it comes to her. I want them to put out good shit. We're about to get Andor in a few weeks. I can't wait for that. And then after
George
that,
Lucas was mismanaging Star Wars long before
thank
she ever
you.
showed up.
Absolutely, but they
Exactly.
completely cut him some slack.
Exactly.
They cut him slack all
Yeah.
the fucking time. And when it comes down to this, it's like these cats
Why?
this has been their magnum opus to get her fired.
Why did they cut her slack?
One of the most
Or why did they
successful.
cut him?
Yeah.
Why did they cut him slack instead of her?
Because he's the creator.
Yeah.
And she,
Not
well,
only
for
that-
one, she's a woman, and two, she's
Right,
not the
there you
original
go.
creator.
Yeah.
There you go.
One of the most
There you
successful
go.
executive producers on many, many legendary films. Can't catch any fucking respect at
Doesn't
all. So
matter.
fuck them. I'm
Doesn't matter.
sick of the conversation.
No have
So,
pee-pee, completely invalid.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So yeah, all the guys that sit in their parents' basements that are bitching about her,
Yes.
have never done anything. I have a spec writing that it would do better. It's an offshoot of
In
what
my
happened.
Star Wars story, Luke Skywalker would have muscles on top of muscles, and he would
Mhm.
just wave his lightsaber and kill 100 guys with one stroke of his lightsaber, and then he would have sex with all of the women.
You bet.
Yeah, because he's a complete alpha. He's a complete alpha. He's not a beta.
He's a total Chad.
He's a total Chad. Yes, exactly. He'd actually he would not only be red one, but he would have a red hat on his head too, because he's so cool. And he'd be all about crypto and the Cybertruck.
Yo, crypto.
Cool. Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah. The thing that
Would you like to invest in some digital currency, young Padawan?
How'd you
It's
get
not
this
a
way?
story the Jedi would tell you.
I thought Saboba was here for a second.
young Skywalker, have you ever heard of Darth
Alpha coin.
Darth Darth Crypto the Good? he would give these little coins to all the kids and pump up the values
No,
for the
Palpy coin?
parents to buy, and then we would dump them and keep the profits. He was so good.
You ever heard of the tragedy of the Bored Ape Yacht Club? It's not the story the Jedi would tell you.
Have you ever seen the car that looks like a dumpster? It was called the Cybertruck. And according to
The tragedy
Instagram
of
video,
Elon the Stupid, also known as Darth Ignoramus.
yeah, exactly. Have you ever heard the story of Rogan the idiot? Who he just kept asking, "Why is there ham in hamburgers, even though it's beef?" And he sees what you're saying. Wow. Anyway, back to this last article here. Yes, I'm gonna finish up on this. This is a sad one, and this makes me sad. MCT Dread, R.I.P. George Lowe, the voice of Space Ghost. Man, I love Space Ghost. I love not only Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but I love that dumbass original show. I used to watch that show as a kid and love Space Ghost. For some reason, it was cheesy, it was dumb, but I loved his ship. I loved everything about it, even his two. Because at one point he had the white uniform and they had the gold uniform too. And what was the ship was called? What, the Phantom, right?
I want to say, yeah, I think it was.
Remember, I haven't watched that shit since I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a cool show, man. That Herculoid,
It's at a resurgence.
Undar.
It's at a resurgence in the DC universe. They have the comic book that's been out for Space Coast for a little while now. So it's sad that he passed. I know. I remember the voice of Moltar passed years ago, like decades ago. So I think the voice of what's his name, the Mantis character, I forget his name, but I think he's still around. But yeah, I was sad to hear that this happened.
Yeah, this dude was only 67 too,
yeah,
man.
Mad,
Yeah, not that bad. I mean, oh, you mean Brack?
Yeah, Brack. Well, not Brack, but the.
Oh, not Brack.
The one that played the drums. I forget his name, but
yeah,
Zorak. There we go.
Zorak. Yeah,
yep, there you go.
Yeah, Zorak. So, but yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's the news, and always submit any news articles you have to the News Listeners by News Articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha forum. And yeah, we haven't had it in about 2 episodes, but we'll be back on the regular schedule here. So, but all right, Chris, you want to start us off on the thing of 1985? And I guess we just gotta have to go through the stuff you said earlier about Solbro just uploading the document. Obscure stuff.
Bajillion fucking things I haven't heard of.
I didn't intend you to read all these. By the way, I just put them on there for conversation's sake. So we go with the stuff that's most relevant to what we normally talk about. And then anything we might have seen that might have been fun to talk about. That's it. So Chris, by all means, take it away.
All right. So just as a disclaimer, as with all the previous incarnations of this type of episode, a lot of this stuff we've already talked about in depth on Gundam and Chaos Theater previously, so we're not really going to get into any depth about any of these titles. Just sort of briefly mention what kind of impact they had, or in some of the cases of this very obscure shit, did not have. So first, in the TV/OVA category, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. Well, this is a timely pick because literally this week is the 40th anniversary of Zeta Gundam, as Dobro stole my thunder, but he was on mute, so nobody heard it.
He didn't. Apparently.
Yes, this week was the 40th anniversary, and this is a note maybe more for 2005 than for now, but this year is also the 20th anniversary of the Zeta Gundam movies, which means that the movies are now as old as the TV show was when the movies were made.
God damn it, dude.
Oh wow,
You want to feel
that's
old.
crazy. Yeah, that is
Those
crazy.
movies with that shiny new animation,
Mhm.
those new movies,
Mhm.
well, they're 20 years old.
God, I remember that was the biggest deal too. And we're like, wait, what? They're redoing they're gonna do the movies? Like, gosh, holy crap.
Yeah. So Zeta Gundam, obviously, big part of the franchise's development, and
Yeah.
it gave us many of the hallmarks of Gundam that we still see today in all the series, including greasy strivers, rampant mental illness, mid-series upgrades. You know, you name it. If it's a Gundam cliche, it probably came from Zeta Gundam. Any comments on Zeta to add to that?
I will say this because I'm just wondering. Yes, original Mobile Suit established the franchise and established a lot of the cliches, but I think, like you just said, Chris, I think most of the actual cliches that go on more in the later series are all from Zeta. It seems like Zeta kind of perfected like the cliche thing because yeah, you of course you have the kid that gets the Gundam and stuff like that, but all the other things, I think this is where you get the really ambiguous. Is he a protagonist? Is he the antagonist? You know, with Quattro / Char, and it's just it kind of broke the mold, and I think in some ways it's the way that the the cliches go more than the actual first series. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying?
And original Gundam is one of the few Gundam series that legit has no psycho characters in it.
Right. Yeah, it actually doesn't.
There's no deranged weirdos in Mobile
Hmm.
Suit Gundam. That's a Zeta thing
It
for
is definitely
sure.
the start of that thing.
I think the most deranged weirdo might be Giran, but even then, he's just a megalomaniac.
Yeah,
I mean,
He's just a fascist,
he's a
but he's not
typical
like
typical dictator guy. Yeah,
he's no like Yazan Gable or
yeah,
this total psychopath.
yeah. Because
Just a boring old fascist.
because you're right. Because every pilot of the week that Armoro faced. I mean, the TriStars, they were just like they're just good. They just were following
Guys.
orders. They're just guys. I mean, Shalia Bull, even Lala. I mean, all of these guys. Yeah, you're right. They weren't crazy, but yeah. So
When it comes to Zeta, this is definitely my favorite Gundam series. Period. I'm feeling it a lot more now, given the narrative and some of the elements of the show, like rebellion, like an institution that you trusted becomes corrupt, and you have to rebel against it. And characters, being in the areas of gray in this series, it hits harder to me these days than it ever fucking has.
I will say to that point that over the
Yeah.
last 20 years, I have seen a lot of criticism of Zeta.
Mhm.
Of all these people saying, "Oh, the Titans are cartoonishly evil
Oh, the
and
fuck.
unrealistic,
Ooh.
and none of this is real life, and nobody would act that way." And it's like, you still want to say that now?
Brother, all I know is I'm feeling real
Do they look so cartoonishly evil now?
right, brother. All I know is I'm feeling real Ayuk right now. It is in my blood. That's all I know. But yeah, Zeta Gundam stands as my favorite Gundam series, and as my favorite Gundam opening. From the Aqueous Star from With Love, the second season opening for Zeta Gundam is my favorite opening of all Gundam series. So, I just love this
The
series.
opening that doesn't exist in America,
Yeah,
so
right?
it doesn't exist at all.
Hey, it exists to me. I've got some means.
Can't stream it on Spotify.
Hey, oh yeah. With this song's on Spotify in many different ways.
No, it's not. Not official. Not the official Sunrise version, though.
Oh, that's fine. There's an acapella version that's on there. That is amazing, sung by the original singer. It's fantastic. So that's the version I listen to quite often. But it is on there. I promise you this. But yeah, that's definitely a classic.
It's not, but
I'm telling you, I'll play it during the show.
I have the official Sunrise streaming versions in America.
Yeah.
On Spotify, do not include any of the Neil Sedaka based songs.
No.
They are not on there.
Well, if you're talking about the original
You're
versions,
listening to some unofficials. I'm
Oh, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Spotify, dude. Spotify.
I got you.
Okay, 1985. There was no
Alright,
Spotify in 1985.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's go back. All right.
Anyway.
Zeta Gundam, good. 1985, good.
Gotcha.
Forward.
Next up, we have on our list Dan Kuga, Super Beast Machine God. Wii series, you know, it's a super robot show with a lot of real robot aesthetics, and you got a team of military pilots piloting these super robots that they don't even figure out how to combine until halfway through. But the main character is voiced by Kazuki Yao, aka Judo Ashita, and Frankie from One Piece, and he's very hot-blooded and is always screaming "Yatte Yaruze" and getting you all fired up to fight alien invaders. And it's a weird show. It's not everybody's taste, and it inspired a couple of OVA sequels, and then back in the aughts we had a TV spinoff called Dan Kuga Nova that went kind of little noticed, and you know, it's got its fans. It popped up in Super Robot Wars with some new variations, and it's got its little niche. Anybody have any other comments about Dan Kuga?
I've never had the chance to watch the show. My exposure to it fully is in the Super Robot Wars games, but I always thought it was a sleek looking series. I've been wanting to see it. I know eventually we'll get to it on this show when we review it on Gundam, hopefully sometime in the next couple of years. But yeah, it's always looked cool to me, if anything.
It was released by Discotech, but I think it's already gone out of print by now.
Damn.
Yeah, probably.
So, you know, any comments on Dan Kuga?
No, just I mean, I remember Nova coming out a couple years ago, but other than that, and yeah, I don't have that much on Dan Cougar.
All right, next up we have Dirty Pair, a series that inspired many spin-offs and continuations, and sadly a hole in my anime filmography. I have never seen any incarnation of Dirty Pair, so I will hand it off to you, Solbro, since you, I think, were the one who put it on there.
Yeah, Dirty Pair. I've only seen like scattered episodes. My main exposure to it was when I was in high school and I would borrow trade tapes with people, and there'd be a random episode of Dirty Pair on those tapes. But I've always enjoyed the show. It's set in the future with two agents that work for the WWWA, which is like this worldwide spy agency or whatnot, and they go around
Interpol.
and yeah, it's connected to the Crusher Joe universe, and it's written by the same author. So if you like Crusher Joe, you might want to check out Dirty Pair if you have not. I've always enjoyed the show. The theme song rocks, by the way. It's fantastic. But yeah, it's just one of those shows to pass the time. And there's also OVAs and I believe a movie or two. So yeah, fun times.
Yeah, I think there's about 3 movies. Yeah, I like the Dirty Pair. It's just stupid. It's typical 1980s, you know, hot girls doing espionage type of things, and there's a lot of like crazy, you know, fan service and some stupid things in there, but it's an enjoy. I've always enjoyed it. It's always been a good thing to watch, and it's definitely a product of its time. So I will put it to you that way. So if you're looking at this and going, this seems a little weird, and I don't know, but
I will say I feel bad for everybody who supported the Dirty Pair Kickstarter that No Entertainment did, and that is still sputtering along 3 years later.
Geez.
Oh wow!
Under the incompetent eye of Crunchyroll.
Yeah. Be
That
careful
sucks.
with contributing Kickstarters.
Yeah. Next up, a series that is definitely a favorite of mine, Blue Comet SPT Lasner.
Oh,
We've
boy.
talked about it on Gundam. I've
Sure have.
reviewed the entire series. A great show that unfortunately got short due to space heater fires in Japan killing a bunch of people. So that's a freakish occurrence, isn't it?
Yo, what?
Very much so. Yeah.
That
Didn't see that on my bingo
I
card.
didn't
My
see.
cancellation bingo card.
The story there is that Sanyo was Sanyo Electronics. They were the main sponsor of at the time when shows were made by just like one big sponsor and not
Right.
a committee of a bunch of different people contributing to the production costs. And they had these space heater fires that there was a defective design and like little bits of carpet would get caught in the space heater and
Oh,
it killed
wow.
like a bunch of kids and some old people. Like it even got written up in international news in the New York Times that you can dig this up.
Yo.
And because of this huge scandal of all these people getting killed and also injured, Sanyo like went dark on all of their promotional activities, including sponsoring Lasner, which meant that the show immediately canceled. And instead of 52 episodes, it ended at 38. And half of that last episode is suddenly just the end of arc that they had planned, and it's a clip show because they literally ran out of money, and they were able to do an OVA that kind of fixed that ending a little bit and made it more cohesive. But the famous story of the Lasner Mark II never actually appeared in the show, but
Yeah,
it's in Super Robot Wars.
yeah.
That's such a bizarre. Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
I wonder if
that's
that's
one of the weirdest fucking stories.
I wonder if that's the only time that's happened. I hope this is the only time that's happened. 'Cause that's such a
But
tragedy
it
behind
just
that.
What was
showed.
space heater fires causing anime to be canceled? I
Yeah,
think that's
that's
one time only occurrence.
that's a 1-for-1. Jesus.
Yeah.
But that just shows you that this is 1985 is when that stuff you had like one big sponsor on these things. Even American shows had this stuff where it'd be like just one big sponsor that would help them with their advertising
Yeah.
on these things. And yeah, you're at the mercy of it. Like something happens, the company goes down, base heaters. I mean, you're at the mercy of everything. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, it has been released domestically by Discotech, so I encourage
Oh,
buy that and support them. It's a good release. Terrible cover art, but that's neither here nor there.
I actually
Um,
found out something about Discotech. They're actually based out of Altamont Springs, Florida, which is right around the corner from where I live.
yes,
I had no idea
correct.
until just a couple days ago when I was building this list. So shout outs to Discotech for being a local business.
go do
Yeah.
a visit.
Yeah.
A good Florida company.
Yeah. By the way, Lonely Way is the dopest song ever. I fucking love that song.
It is.
Yeah.
Next up on our list, we have Mega Zone 23 Part 1. We've talked about this before on MAHQ as one of the early OVAs, and it was a big success in that regard. It was originally pitched as a TV series called Mega City 23 that fell apart, so they reconfigured it into an OVA. If you want to read all about that, there's tons of articles about Megazone 23 over at zimmerit.moe, our friends over there. And they have the actual planning document of the TV version. You can see some of the designs for the early version of the Garland, for the characters, and all this crazy stuff. Of course, it was a success in the early days of the OVAs that helped sustain that market. And even though it's not acknowledged by the Wachowski sisters, it's pretty clear this OVA was an influence on The Matrix, knowing that they were big anime fans. Like, they're not fooling anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've discussed Megazone on Gundam too.
One of the earliest things we reviewed on the show, actually. So if anything, I remember when the DVD box set came out, and I picked it up at Best Buy.
Oh, that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was like
That was a big deal. I was like,
right
oh,
before we
shit.
reviewed it too. It was like, oh, we're gonna review that. I could get it through the methods, or I could just buy it. And we went to Best Buy that day, picked it up, and
I think I still have it in a box somewhere.
yeah.
Like I have like boxes packed up somewhere of all those old DVDs. Oh my
I will
gosh.
say, definitely not a point of pride, but when it comes to part 1 and 2, don't watch it dubbed, because the main character Shogo is voiced in the ADV dub by fucking Vic.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
Of course.
spare yourself auditory torture of having to hear that pervert's voice.
Is he really? I didn't realize
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's the voice of Shogo.
Okay.
He was prolific back then. Oh, yeah. What about Robotech the movie?
Unfortunately,
I'm playing.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
we
Unfortunately.
ain't talking about Robotech the movie.
Oh, damn it!
The less said about that, the better.
Shucks. But it's cool.
Anything else?
Part one is real fantastic. OVA. I always like the look of it. I like part one more than part two or three, but if I still enjoy it as a whole when it comes down to it.
Yeah,
But
I would always say that too. I have more of a fondness for part one
yeah,
than part two and three. Three is out there, but yeah. I mean, it's back in the day, this is one of those things that you would see a lot of. This would travel on the VHS tapes.
when you give me a motorcycle that turns into a mech, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
One of the coolest things. I mean, it definitely was one of the coolest. I mean, it's with Kanina's bike and Akira. I mean, it's one of the coolest freaking things there is.
And of course, Mospeeda.
Look, Artmic were the masters of transforming robots, between transforming bike mecha between this and Mospeada before it, and then Shinji Aramaki
of course,
an alum of Artmic, went on to do Viper's Creed that we talked about on this show eons ago.
A long time.
Yeah.
Very underrated transforming bike series. So yeah, if you like transforming bikes, Artmic, they were your dudes.
Yeah, they were.
So next up on our list, we have Votome's The Last Red Shoulder. This is the very first Votome's OVA of many. And the title is quite literal because, it's a story about Kiriko and some old buddies from the Red Shoulders going to kill Palezin. And by the end of the story, he's literally the last Red Shoulder left standing because they all die.
Damn. Yeah. It's such a rough... Kiriko has had a rough life. That's all I know. And every OVA, every episode, it's just, I don't know how he isn't a broken man. he's so stoic. But this OVA was a little insightful, at least on who he is and what he went through and his a little bit of his past, and then just get that insight on him was it made it for an interesting watch.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely one of those typical, and it follows kind of the typical war films back in those days too, where it's just like you sit there and all these guys that you're with, they end up just dying, and you're the last one left, and yeah, it's like you said, the title basically tells you the end of the story.
Yep. Next up, we have 2 OVAs of Vifum, a show that we have discussed on here, and that does have its mecha featured on MAHQ. Some of the OVAs of this show were just compilations, as they did at the time, and these 2 in particular are original stories. One of them is set after the TV show, so it was just extra content if you liked Vifum. Also, banging opening song as far as these 80s shows go.
Hell yeah, dude.
And just the animation in that op was like, so yeah, go check out Vifum. Unfortunately, never licensed, so you'll have to hit the Methods Network. That's one of my eternal license wants from Discotech that they still have not complied with, because they're too busy releasing like weird tokusatsu shows that I've never heard of before. But whatever.
Why not do a good mecha show that nobody's ever heard of before? So
yeah, they're too busy doing Galactic Defender Linguini. If you know, you know.
It was nice to watch this series because it seems like the predecessor to spiritual predecessor to a show like Infinite Revias, which had a similar setup. A bunch of kids are left adrift in space with the ship and Mecha, and have to fend for themselves. This series, I don't know if it originated this. No, kind of it didn't, because you had Mobile Suit Gundam that preceded that. But yeah, it's still did a great job with building up tension throughout the course of its run, and I know watching it was a definite treat back when we reviewed it for the show.
All right, next on our list is bastardized American TV series Robotech. I'll turn this one over to Sobro. Please don't spend 5 hours
Nah,
talking about it.
no, 1985. I always say this is the series that changed my life. Watching it for the first time at 8 years old, and yeah, I had a love affair for it for a long time until learning the truth about Harmony Gold and how they have gone out of their way to kind of squash the Macross license out here. It really is a sad story, but I've become a diehard Macross fan because of this, and I encourage you guys to check out all sorts of different flavors of Macross on Hulu and Disney Plus when you have the time. Macross Saga is still my favorite part of the series, and I'll pass it on to Neo if he has anything to say.
Well, I mean, come on. I'm still waiting for the Tobey Maguire, Leonardo DiCaprio live action Robotech.
Yes!
So, I mean, come on.
Oh man, it's all about Robotech Academy.
Belief.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you can't completely shit on it, but it does have. I mean, it is. If you were alive during this time, this is what got you in there. Yes, you find out that there's a better thing on it, but I think it's good to watch. I mean, you watch Macross and then watch this, and I don't know. I can't completely hate on it because without it, you have to kind of understand its place, and probably without it, maybe the industry is not what it is now, or maybe it takes a little bit longer to be what it is. So. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, but it's terrible, I guess, in a good way, or in a positive way that it helped, spurn things to go forward. So, I don't know. But, yeah.
Well, next up, we have a legitimate classic, the original Vampire Hunter D OVA.
Mm-hmm.
Is getting a big 40th anniversary celebration this year. It's been released multiple times over the decades and is sort of always in print from somewhere, and classic horror anime with of course incredible character designs by Yoshitaka Amano, and it's one of those classic OVAs that if you are of the age that all three of us are, you watch this show early in your anime experiences.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the classics. I mean, this is. It was like Vampire Hunter D, Ninja Scroll, even Megazone Part 1. I mean, there was like ones like if it was like you really knew somebody was an anime fan, it was like you know Vampire Hunter D. I mean, it is a classic. I mean, I'm sorry. It really is a great twist on the vampire, story, the hunter story, and it's just I think it's one of those things where it's kind of transcendent through generations at this point. Like it should be. It's that good. So.
Yeah, I remember I saw this for the first time on Sci-Fi Network when they had a special on the weekend where they showed Robot Carnival, Lensman, and then this all in one straight block, and it blew my mind.
I actually remember that.
Yeah, man, it was so fucking cool. And yeah, this movie still stands out. I actually prefer this over Bloodlust, although I do like Bloodlust, and I saw that in the theater when it came out. This one still is the one that scratches that itch. Michael McConaughey's voicing of D in this is something I'll always remember. But yeah, it's fantastic, and I recommend if you haven't seen it, please check it out.
All right. Next on the list is Area 88.
Hell yeah.
The OVA series about a bunch of enslaved fighter pilots who were forced to fight for this awful country and all of the drama that ensues from that.
Mm-hmm.
It, of course, also inspired a horizontal shoot-'em-up game by Capcom. Very solid game that was released in America as UN Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my comment on this one.
Yeah, I saw the original OVA years ago, but it's tough, but it's really good. It's got a melancholy ending. But if you are going to watch this OVA, immediately watch the TV series that came out in the early 2000s afterwards. Goes
Yeah.
kind of a slightly different way. It's updated for the time and has a much different ending. So I would say watch them back to back. You'll enjoy the entire experience. It's a classic manga in general. And UN Squadron, if you never played it, seek it out. It was, as Chris mentioned, it's released on the SNES over here. Neil?
Well, it's emblematic of this time.
Yeah.
I mean, 1980s was these one-shot OVAs. I mean, we've already talked about, Megazone, Vampire Hunter D, Area 88. I mean, and of course, years later, a lot of them spawn, series or additional OVAs. So, yeah, this was that thing that was going on at this time. So.
All right. Well, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip all of these other anime series that Solbro put
Right.
on this list, and a good amount of the American ones. But to throw Solbro a bone,
Mhm.
I'm going to collectively mention a couple of series together because I know he's probably going to want to comment on some or all of these.
Sure.
So in 1985, on our side of ocean, we had a couple of standouts in the form of MAHQ, Jason the Wheeled Warriors,
Yes, sir.
She-Ra, Princesses of Power, Star Wars Droids, and Thundercats. So do you have anything you would like to say about any of those?
Well, out of the bunch, Mask is definitely a standout for me. I thought the toy line was really cool. I was
Had all those
mentioned,
toys,
those
even
toys
the
were
gas
dope as hell.
station.
And they just released a group called the Loyal Subjects. Is releasing a re-release of all those toys slowly but surely. They just showed them off at the New York Toy Fair, so it's kind of actually on in the recent news that we're getting Masks re-releases that have more detail now for the characters and the actual toys themselves. So it's super cool to see that. Super expensive though, so I wouldn't see myself buying them anytime soon. Other than that, Thundercats is definitely a cultural touchstone. A lot of people know that series. I never was fond about Star Wars droids or Ewoks. But out of the other ones here, the
I liked
lot,
droids as a kid.
yeah,
I did too.
yeah.
I don't know how it holds
Yeah.
up.
I will say this: Sectors was a mini series based on the toy line, but if you watch that opening for that show, it is disturbing as hell. You actually see the people, once human beings of this planet morph and mutate into like these bug creatures. I was really young when it came on. I was like, yo, what is this? But other than that, Saturday mornings was rock during this time. Gummy Bears, Wuzzles, all that stuff, fantastic stuff. And as I mentioned on stream the other day, low key, I was a big Gem fan. I didn't collect the toys or nothing, but I watched that show every week. So if anything, that was.
You know who else is a big Gem fan?
Oh, is it Pedro? Don't tell me.
No, it's Kevin Smith.
Oh, no doubt, man. It was a dirty
He was
secret
just
back in the
rambling on in the most recent episode of Hollywood Babylon.
No.
He was just going on and on about that show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I will say this, Chris.
Mhm.
I can't hate on Solbro for liking Gem. Gem, for some reason, it was a pretty good show. Like it definitely was
Wasn't
not
bad.
for it wasn't for us,
Certainly.
but it was good though. So I'm like, when people sit there and say it, I'm like, you know what? And I'll say this, of those things that you talk about, they always like to remake things. I would like to see some type of Gem show. I think a Gem show would be kind of cool. A live action show. I think it would work in today's society. And then, Mask, of all these things that they try to like resurrect or things like that, I wish they would do Mask, because Mask was so fucking cool.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care. It was the coolest damn thing, and they had such cool vehicles. There were such cool things.
I'll say that I was mentioning earlier the Loyal Subjects. They in the same toy show they actually showed off re-releases of Gem figures as well. So I don't know what this is going to bring about with any kind of revival of the license. It might just be to provide these toys again for people who are always interested in them, but you never know what the future may bring for this. But yeah, Gem was definitely unique for its time. And I
It's
like
even
the
unique.
tech
It's
behind it.
unique for now.
Yeah,
I think it's even unique for now.
don't
And
watch that live
then
action movie though. Please don't. It's terrible.
no.
It's so bad.
But I will
I'm
say
in the
this. I mean,
comments saying
if
Mask is just a Toyota Hilux cartoon.
yeah. But I
I
will say
mean,
this: if you do Mask live action though,
Yeah.
Nick Offerman he's got another
Oh,
role because
it's
he's definitely Miles
Mayhem.
Mayhem.
Yes.
I mean, and Miles Mayhem, and this one you can have him as he's the misfit from the Space Force because he does have
Yes.
the same type of uniform that he wears. So, oh
Go
my
picture.
gosh.
Let's
Oh my
make
gosh,
it
it all
happen.
fits together.
Oh my
It all
God.
fits together.
Fun times.
No, I still I don't know why, but it is the one like those 80s properties that just hasn't been dead there. It's like Mask. I'm like, you know what? I really do want to see if they could do something with that.
Yeah.
Because there was something cool about the stupid helmets for some reason. I don't know why, but it just was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
they were cool.
yeah.
I will ask this 30 seconds to just mention one thing. There's a show, a Japanese anime in this list I do want to see one day and add it to the list for Gundam is Ninja Senshi Tobigage. It's a mecha anime show. I'm not sure if it's Super Robot. It looks like Super Robot, but they have ninja super robots basically in that show that the characters pilot. It looks cool as hell, and I've seen
Yeah,
screenshots of it before. And
Gundam.
yeah, it might be the predecessor to that. But I would love to see this show sometime down the road. It actually got adapted for other nations in English as well. So you never know. We might be able to find it and talk about it in the future for the show. Who knows? But yeah, that's all I had to add about that.
All right, moving into the movies category, and we're gonna skip quite a few things here too.
Oh, by all means.
But we're gonna start strong with Back to the Future, the original movie
shit.
Are you
directed
serious?
by
It's not
Robert
gonna go there.
Zemeckis, a big star turn for Michael J. Fox, and not the only hit movie of his this year.
No, sure it isn't.
So we'll get to that in a minute. But obviously, it's become a pop cultural phenomenon. It's still going strong. 40 years later, it's a fucking Broadway musical now, which I don't know why that is a thing. It's been comic books, it's been cartoons, it's been video games, it's been a theme park ride that sadly no longer exists anywhere at Universal Studios anywhere in the world. So it's literally been everything, and then some.
But the one thing it hasn't been though, it hasn't been remade yet. I know there's talk of it. But I've always had this debate with people. It's like, should this movie ever be remade?
Well, according to Bob Gale, never.
You can't remake this movie because it is a movie that, like, at the time it was made and also the times that are featured in it only work in those times. Because let's say you had an anime a remake for the 40th anniversary, and you have a teenager from 2025 going back to 1995. What's so different between the two?
Right.
All the same stuff exists, just more primitive.
Yeah.
But if you go from 1985 to 1955, huge fucking differences.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's where you hit it on there. And I think that's the genius of the movie is it's one of those few movies where it still gets the newer generations, they still like it because like you said, there is such a difference. It's even if you went from 2005 to 2005 to 1985, it's not that big of a difference. So
Also, in terms of the writing, like it's such a good movie.
Yes.
In terms of like study of filmmaking, because there is an economy of writing. Every single piece of dialogue, every single scene in this movie serves a purpose. There's nothing superfluous, and everything that is set up is paid off later. So it's just an impeccably written movie.
in that respect.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. A lot of people who teach screenwriting point to this film as something to watch, and a script to read as well, on how you structure your movie, on how you have basically this movie teaches you the fundamentals of screenwriting. It's one of the tightest films you'll ever watch, and it's funny to boot, and it combines comedy and science fiction in a way that I don't think I ever saw until I saw this movie back in the day, and then of course I've seen other ones since. But yeah, Michael J. Fox was a hell of an actor, and seeing him play Marty McFly in this, I was a big watcher of Family Ties back in the day, so to see him in this, I was already geared to enjoy this film. It's
Funny you mentioned that, because I think we do need to mention also that he's so good in this movie,
Mhm.
and he was filming it literally back to back
Yes.
with Family Ties, because they would not let him take an
They would let him
absence.
out.
Yeah, because famously they recast, they dumped Eric Stoltz.
I was gonna say
They
that
got
too, yeah.
him, so he spent nights and weekends filming this movie after his regular workload on Family Ties.
Absolutely.
Which
Yeah.
he was
I didn't
very clearly the
realize
star of.
that. I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
He worked his ass off, man, and props to him. This movie, even though he's probably half tired when filming his scenes for this film,
You don't see it on screen, though.
Yeah, you don't see it on screen at all. And of course, Christopher Lloyd deserves a lot of credit too. He's fantastic in this movie as well. But yeah, it's a classic, man. I always run into somebody who's never seen this movie, and I tell
Are
them,
you serious?
what are you doing with your life? Please watch this. So if you've never seen Back to the Future, if you've been putting off, if you think it's overhype that we're giving this movie, believe me when I say we're not. It's the score is fantastic. Robert Zemeckis is still my favorite film from him, and there's a ton of movies he's done that I've enjoyed, but this is still head and shoulders above the rest. And a stone cold classic, man. Check it out.
And I've actually been to the mall.
Oh, really?
You remember at the beginning? Yeah, the Puente Hills Mall. It's by our rental property.
Nice.
And yeah, it's funny because some of it still looks the same. So
that's super cool. Take a picture of that mofo, but man, that's super cool. That's cool.
So.
Next on our list is Blood Simple, a movie I have not seen. I do know that it's the debut film from the Coen brothers. So
Yes.
since you put it on here, Stolbro, do you want to say anything about it?
That's basically all I was going to say. I saw it a long time ago. I don't remember much of it, but it is the debut film of the Coen brothers, so that's why I didn't link it to the Wikipedia. But yeah, it's if you enjoy the Coen brothers, you've never seen it, that's where you should definitely start. I think the first movie of theirs I saw was Raising Arizona, but that's all I got.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. So.
All right, next up we have The Breakfast Club from John Hughes, one of the iconic movies of the 80s, definitely right up there with Back to the Future. Not as good, obviously, but like it's one of those movies of the 80s that everybody knows.
Yeah.
And
I think it's one of those ones too that still kind of resonates even as it's from a different time. I think even now, people, younger people still kind of resonate with it because it kind of goes with this, it's a snapshot of high school life. Via detention, Saturday detention, which is a weird one. I've never understood that, but I was in detention, but I never, yeah, never. I mean, I had detention, but it was never on the weekends.
I had it.
Really?
I got to a fight. I got in a fight in middle school, and I had to go to Saturday detention. So I've lived this.
Never knew Saturday detention.
I got in a lot of fights in middle school, but yeah, we got caught one time, and I had to go. But it was not bad. It was just you go there, you read a book, or you work on some school shit, and that's about it. But yeah, this movie is pretty iconic. John Hughes is famous for popularizing the teenage strife type movie in the 80s, really capturing the characters with the dialogue fitting for their characters. Basically, usually kids are not written as accurately as they should be in movies like this. They're usually written either as adults or as way too young. So, but he seemed to hit kind of that middle area with them in this film, and a lot of people got their start. The Brat Pack, a lot of them got their start in this film. So, yeah, it's a good movie. Especially it's a bottle bottle movie as well, because it mostly takes place in one place. So, yeah, good times.
All right. Next, we have a movie that I've only seen bits and pieces of, so I went over to Soulbro, Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Oh shit! One of the greatest villains of all time is in this movie. Show enough, man. I forget the actor, Julius something. He was also in Briscoe County. He played his partner in Briscoe County as well. But he's a fantastic antagonist in this film. The music's great. It's definitely a product of its era. One of the few movies that Motown produced. But yeah, it's got a lot of charisma. I can't say that the main actor in it stands out, but like almost everybody else in the film does. And it's just corny and cheesy as hell. And if you've never seen it, please check it out. It's fun stuff. But Neo, anything to say about this?
No, just the show enough stuff. That's about it. Yeah,
Who's the master?
exactly.
Exactly.
All right, next up, I'm going to mention these three movies at once to move things along and give my comments and turn over to you all. Explorers, don't recall seeing it. Fright Night, schlocky fun.
Yeah.
Lady
Yeah.
Hawk, good fantasy movie starring Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer. So, Sobro, anything on this trio?
Explorers is the one that stands out for me. I saw Lady Hawk too, and I don't. Is it based off the book? I don't know. But I know that Zelda later on took a similar story and ran with it for one of their games in the early 2000s. But Explorers is the one that stands out to me with River Phoenix and I forget the actor's name. He's it'll come to me. But it's a cool movie about two kids who build a spaceship and end up traveling to other planets basically and get on adventures.
Oh, that's Explorers?
That's Explorers, yeah.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
gosh,
about, right?
okay. Now I do. Yeah.
Who's the name of the guy that married
Ethan Hawke, right?
Yes, that's him. Ethan Hawke is the other kid in that movie. Yep, it's Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix, and it's a fun film, man. If you've never seen it, it's very similar in tone to Goonies. So check that out if you have time.
It's like Space Goonies.
Space Goonies, yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
And Fright Night, I'm with you, Chris. Same way, schlocky. And then what was the last one?
Oh, Lady Hawk.
Lady Hawk. Yeah, Lady Hawk is a movie. it was never that impressionable to me. So
there you go.
Never really left anything on me there.
All right, next on our list is The Goonies, another iconic 80s movie, comedy adventure of a bunch of kids who, many of whom have grown up to become big-time actors in the modern era. And it's another one of those that still has a lot of like pop culture cachet. Not as much, say, as Back to the Future, but it's still well known. And now there's talk about doing a sequel with them all grown up and old, and I wish they wouldn't. Just leave things alone.
Yeah, no one wants to see that.
Yeah, it's nice to see the resurgence of Ke Quan, and watching him in this movie is always fun. And of course, seeing Sean Astin. What's that?
We don't need to see this. We don't need to see them all.
No, I'm not asking for a sequel. I'm just talking about the movie itself. Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, and Corey Feldman, and the rest of the gang. There's an energy in this film that I absolutely love. And props to Richard Donner. He directed so many different types of movies throughout his career. I sometimes forget that Goonies was one of his. I was looking at this as like a Spielberg movie, although I know he didn't direct it, but it feels like a Spielberg film. So yeah, and watching the Skeleton Crew, that Star Wars show that ran during December and early January, it definitely captures the spirit of the Goonies. Like, if you haven't watched it, I know a lot of Star Wars stuff on TV has not worked, but Skeleton Crew was really, really, really good. And if you love the Goonies, you're going to be right at home with that show. So yeah, the Goonies is a classic. I don't want to see a sequel to it either. It's not necessary.
We have in the chat Rob saying another film that can't be remade with the same titles due to net culture and word drift.
Yes.
Look, if it was called The Gooners, I would see your point. But that's a very different movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's been made.
I'm sure that's the porn parody.
Ooh,
Modern porn parody.
Terrible.
Next, we have Red Sonja, which is a spin-off of
Conan,
one of the
right?
Barbarian movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Never saw it. Don't have anything to say about it.
Yeah. I
I
know.
think I saw it, but it's not really.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I find it to be better than Conan the Destroyer. I'll tell you that much. It's written by Robert E. Howard, but Arnold Schwarzenegger I don't believe plays Conan in it. He just plays another barbarian. But yeah, he plays someone named Lord Calidor in this. But yeah, Brigitte Nielsen really steals the show in this. It's the first time I ever saw her in anything, and it was I was riveted the whole time. Fun movie.
All right. Next on the list is Day of the Dead, which is a zombie movie directed by George Romero. It's the at the time the end of his original trilogy of zombie movies, and it sucks. It's
Yeah.
not very good. The actors are not very good. His budget was cut dramatically during production, so he had to really scale down the tone of the movie. But it's just a shit movie. Like it's just not very good.
Yeah.
I've never
Not very
seen
good.
it.
Like Dawn of the Dead, total
Mhm.
classic. Night
Yeah.
of the Living Dead, absolutely a classic. This movie fucking sucks.
I'll take your word for it.
Like Land of the Dead is a better movie than this,
Man.
and it's
Yeah.
not that great itself, but it's way better than this.
Yeah, this is bad.
I'm gonna skip ahead, and since it's related, Return of the Living Dead, which is a very schlocky zombie movie that Romero had no involvement in, and it's its own little sub series. It's really stupid, but it's just a lot of fun to watch. It's about a zombie outbreak at a cemetery and a bunch of partying kids having the sex and
Oh,
getting chopped up and
go ahead, Chris. Keep going.
yeah, it's
I think
incredibly
I know what.
stupid,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun.
I've never seen
Yeah,
that.
this is.
Back then, I avoided horror movies. I know this is more of a comedy than anything like that, but I haven't seen this one either.
Yeah, I know this movie. This used to make its way on like HBO and Showtime back in the day. Yeah,
Sure did.
okay. Yep. There's some interesting
Mhm.
stuff in there. Lots of titties.
There is.
Yep.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Moving away from that, our next movie is The Black Cauldron. This is a Disney animated film that's
Yeah.
much maligned. It's a fantasy movie, and it's pretty dark as far as Disney goes for the era. And when I finally saw it, it's like big deal. Like, why does this have a reputation for being so bad? Like, it's fine. Like, it's okay. It's not amazing, but it definitely was produced in a dark period for Disney itself
Yeah.
when they were under threat of hostile takeover, and movie did not deliver, and it would still be a few years. The Little Mermaid and the Disney Renaissance, so not a high point for Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah, I'd watch this movie too, and I didn't think it was anything spectacular. It wasn't as bad as what people said, but yeah, this is emblematic of the Disney in the 1980s. I mean, what Disney is now, even with some of their failures, recent failures, people don't realize like how bad it was for them at one point. I mean, it was like yeah. So
Yeah, I guess people just weren't expecting what this movie was. I didn't see this until Disney Plus, but many years later. So, and I sat down and watched it. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was a departure from what they would normally put out back then. And I'm sorry that audiences didn't take to it, but I thought it was cool. If anything, it's not nearly the train wreck that made people try to make it. So, especially back then when I had friends that went to go see it and hated it. So, I don't know what to say.
All right, next we have Weird Science, another John Hughes movie.
Oh yeah.
Saw this plenty of times as a kid. Don't know
Mhm.
how it holds up today. Probably not that
Not
great.
so
Not well.
much. Yeah. Yeah, it's misogyny to the extreme in this one.
Yeah, I love the opening. I love the main theme song for this movie, though. I think that's great. But Yeah,
Yes.
it's got a lot of questionable
These are the
material in
two.
it.
These are the two Corys too, right?
I want to say Anthony Michael Hall and
Oh
Michael
no
Hall
no
and
yeah,
okay the other okay.
I think
I always confuse all of them because at some point they all seem the same to me.
the best thing about this movie is Bill Paxton as Chet Donnelly. That's the best shit about this movie. Straight
Yeah,
up, Bill Paxton kills it in
yeah.
every film he's in, and this is a standout role for him. So he plays like this bully type character. Hilarious though, he's the best. So if you watch it for any reason, watch it for Bill. Certainly.
All right, next is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This is the
Oh man.
debut film by Tim Burton, and I saw this as a kid, and I used to watch the Pee-wee Herman's Playhouse as a kid. Have not revisited it, but obviously this was the start of him becoming a very big time director.
Yeah. It's also funny. I'm a big fan of E.G. Daily. She's primarily a voice actress now, but this is one of her early films as well. She plays I want to say Dottie in this. I have to go back and look, but she plays the main female lead in this film. And yeah, Paul Rubens. This is the first time I ever saw him in anything too. So I never saw. I think he's in it's in a vampire movie or something prior to this. But this is the first time I ever noticed him, and he really stands out in this film. It's such a surreal movie. It's so strange, but it's quirky and it'll hold your attention if you've never seen it before, I believe.
Yeah, because he gets his bike gets stolen, right?
Yeah,
That's the whole
it's
premise.
simple
Yeah.
premise. You
Yeah.
get caught up in it, and before you know it, you're on a travel. You're on a journey basically to get that back.
All right, and next, Godzilla 1985. This is actually a chopped up American version of the 1984 Japanese movie Return of Godzilla. I saw this movie in theaters as a kid. Remember anything about it other than that it scared me, but I know it does not have a very good reputation as far as these American adaptations of Godzilla go.
Yeah, I saw it on cable once. All I remember is Raymond Burr. That's it. Because he
Yeah,
was reprising his role
that's.
from the 50s version as well. So
I just remember it being bad. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Okay, moving on, we have Teen Wolf, another hit
Ooh.
1985 movie starring Michael J. Fox. He plays a teenage werewolf who becomes a high school basketball star, and a lot of shenanigans happen, and it inspired a not as good sequel called
ugh.
Teen Wolf 2,
Oh man,
TOO,
yeah.
with Jason Bateman a couple of years later.
I love Jason Bateman, but that movie wasn't nearly as good as this one.
The movie sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah, this is very charming film. Of course, this is the year of Michael J. Fox. Man, he couldn't lose this year, having two big hits like this. And this movie spawned a cartoon later on Saturday mornings that I was not a fan of at all. I couldn't stand the cartoon, but this movie itself was really cool. I enjoyed it, and the cast too. I think this movie is one of the best films of the 80s.
This movie is so ridiculous that I think if it wasn't done in 1985, it would have been a huge flop. But for whatever reason, it worked. And I haven't seen it in years, so I don't know if it still works. But it's so stupid that it's good, you know. So it's a ridiculous premise. I mean, when he sits there and talks to his dad, he's like, "Dad, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, I got to talk to you about our curse." It's like, what? I mean, and then the fact that nobody has a problem that he just turns into a werewolf and now leads them to the state basketball playoffs. So okay, makes sense. It's
Oh.
like it's like furry Hoosiers.
Yes. Yo, big ups to Yazzie, man. Your favorite writer wrote this movie, Jeff Loeb, man. According to one of the first scripts written by Jeff Loeb. I had no idea he worked on this. That's crazy.
All right, moving on, we have The Animator, which is a Lovecraftian horror movie starring Jeffrey Combs,
The legend.
aka
Oh, yeah.
The person who played every single role on every '90s Star Trek show. This
Yes!
is not up for discussion. I've not seen it.
I've never
Probably
seen
should.
it either. Yeah.
I've seen clips of it online, but other than that, no. Yeah.
Moving on, then we have Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. This is the last Mad Max movie starring Mel Gibson, also famously featuring Tina Turner
Yes.
as the villain. This movie sucks. It's not very good.
It's bad.
Oh, it's
the best
terrible.
thing that this movie gave us was the Tina Turner song "We Don't Need Another Hero."
Thank you. Yes.
Actually, Rich,
Which is a
the funny
legit
thing
great
is
song.
and the video is better than the movie.
Yes.
That 4-minute video, music video, is better than the movie. Yes. Yeah.
George Miller had an off day, and he would not make another Mad Max movie until the mid 2010s. So this had a resounding effect on the brother. He would do Happy Feet and other flights of fancy before coming back to this world. So
Babe.
Yo, Babe. Yo, that's another classic right there. Good shit. I'm glad.
I guess we'll get to that in 1995.
We will, absolutely.
Moving on, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. I probably have seen this, but I don't remember anything about it.
I only remember the first one and the third one. I don't remember the second Nightmare on Elm Street. Like the first one and the third one.
Yeah.
Dream Warriors, because it was so cool, and it had just like the definitive like 80s hair metal like soundtrack too. So
I should let y'all know. I the only horror movie I saw in 1985 was Silver Bullet. So I have nothing to say here.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Ewoks Battle for Endor.
Ooh.
And moving on, we have Brazil, the all-time classic by Terry Gilliam with an incredible career performance by Jonathan Pryce about man caught up in a hellish dystopia, and a movie that was famously chopped up in its original release to make happy. And then thankfully we've gotten Terry Gilliam's original vision in subsequent years. So if you like any of the work Terry Gilliam has done, you absolutely need to watch Brazil.
I did not like this movie when I saw it in my 20s. I did see the uncut version from Terry Gilliam, but I didn't quite understand it as much as I do now. I saw it about 5 years ago again and sat down and watched it, and I was completely feeling it. So maybe something about reaching your middle ages, that this movie hits a bit better, but I'm sure some people love this right off the bat. But for me, this movie is a classic.
Or being in the dystopian hellscape that you live in now.
Yeah, maybe that has something to do with it too.
That might help you relate.
And the ending is so ambiguous, but at the same time, I appreciate what Gilliam did with this film. It's definitely a mindfuck. If you've never seen it before, have patience with it. It unfolds in a very unique way, and there's a lot about perspective in this film that you'll start to catch on with as you watch it. And Robert De Niro shows up in the most unexpected way. Had no idea he was in the movie till I started watching it. So it's a good movie.
We'll talk to Stephen Colbert because this is his favorite Robert De Niro movie.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing I've ever heard when I saw that stuff on YouTube. Where he's like, my favorite movie that you were in of all the movies that Robert De Niro has been in is like Brazil.
He was just on the show and asking him questions, and
Robert
couldn't remember shit.
Robert De Niro was just sitting there like, what? Like I think Robert De Niro forgot he made that movie.
He remembered enjoying working with Gilliam at least in that interview. But I
think he forgot the movie.
Yeah, probably.
But Stephen Colbert was trying to sell it hard. He's like, I love that movie. It's like, what? Are you serious? What are you talking about, dude? Like, I mean, I would even say if you're going to do any of his movies, if you're going to sit there and say anything, you could say Meet the Fockers. I mean, come on. It's like the most obscure movie. It's just so funny and awkward. But Robert De Niro is such a horror. I don't know why they ever invite him on things because
terrible interview.
He's the worst interview.
Unless he's angry about Trump, then he's He is.
Yeah.
That's standing room
Exactly.
only. Standing room only if he gets into politics. But outside of that, it's
Oh my god.
you're rolling the dice.
Next up, we have Enemy Mine, which is a sci-fi
Oh, yeah.
classic starring Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett. There's a space war going on between humans and aliens, and they play soldiers on opposite sides of this war who crash land on a planet together, and they are forced to overcome their prejudices and work together so that they can survive. And it's a classic kind of story, but well told.
Which spawned many episodes of sci-fi shows.
Yes.
Later on, because
Yes.
how many other sci-fi shows in the future have always had the two enemies crash land on the planet to just to survive.
Next-
Well,
So,
there's
Next
there's one story that notably flips this concept on its head, which is the episode of DS9 where Cisco and Ducat crash on a planet.
Yes.
This is after Ducat has gone crazy,
oh yeah,
and they certainly do not work together and help each other, and
no, yeah,
that flips this whole concept upside down.
I know there's.
yeah. Well, that's DS9 for you though. So
And the one I remember the most is Next Gen when Geordi and that one Romulan had to work together in order to get that particular episode reminded me a lot of Enemy Mine. Enemy Mine's a solid film, by the way. I haven't seen it
Yeah, it
since
is
I
a
was a
good
child,
movie.
but it was pretty cool. I remember watching it on cable every so often.
All right, next, going to Japan, we have Ran, which is the last epic historical saga directed by Akira Kurosawa, an international co-production because at the time he was not able to get Japanese funding. His previous movie was funded with help from George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola because they were such big fans of his. This one is inspired by Shakespeare's King Lear, and it's a good experience. If you like Jidai Geki movies, if you like these Akira Kurosawa period dramas, then this movie is for you. It's the last big movie like this that he did in his lifetime, and it is available on many formats.
yeah,
So I'm gonna skip ahead on some of these. Sobro, is there anything you are really wanting to speak about on the rest of this list?
oh, you got fucking Rocky 4, dude.
Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Commando 2.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! Oh, and Clue. Commando and Clue. Those are the two. Better Off Dead is a classic, by the way. Good stuff, written by the guy who created Eek the Cat. But Commando, by far, this movie it's borderline bad, but it's also phenomenal. The one-liners in this film are some of the best I've ever heard in movies, man. Arnold is on one in this film. To me, it's my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger film, and that's saying a lot.
It's up there. It's one of the best ones that he's had done.
John Matrix, he's player 2 in Contra in this movie, y'all. It's amazing. And the cast of this is great. I'm telling you, if you have nothing to do and you want to hear a movie with great one-liners, watch Commando. It makes no sense, but it's fantastic. Other than that, Clue is one of to me, and I when I look at movies based on games, this is the template of what you're supposed to do. And Clue is definitely head and shoulders above the rest. The cast is incredible. Just like Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd had a great year this year too because he's Professor Plum in this movie. My favorite person in this film though is Madeline Kahn's Mrs. White. She is incredible. Yeah. When she starts talking about flames, I'm on the fucking floor. But this movie is fantastic, and the fact that it has multiple endings also is great too. If you watch it, the default version, you'll get all the endings. But I believe on the Blu-ray or the DVD, you can choose if you want to get a random ending instead. Just watch it with all the endings. You'll have a good time. It is funny, and they keep trying to remake this. Don't bother. You're not gonna beat the original. You're not. But Tim Curry, absolute perfection in this film too. So good. That's all I got.
Well, I will say this: you have to talk about Rocky 4
Oh yeah, go for it.
because, I mean, come on, it's the most ridiculous. Well, of
AKA
the
Egoism, the movie.
Yes.
well, no, it's a
Jingo.
ridiculous movie. It's oh yeah, it is America Cold War excellence at its finest. But it's not even that. It's the movie that's like I think about 40 or 50% montages. And I mean, between the training montage and when the driving in the Lamborghini montage, and it has some of the best stupid, ridiculous '80s soundtrack songs ever. I mean, come on. I mean, when Rocky is driving the Lamborghini after Apollo dies, it's no easy way out's on the radio. And he's just thinking about it. He's like, I gotta do this. I have to not only avenge Apollo, but do this for America. And I'm not only gonna do this where I need to, I'm gonna go in Russia. Yeah, it is one of the most ridiculous fucking movies ever, but it's so much fun. And in some ways, it might be the best Rocky movie because it's the most stupid movie.
Is that the one with Happy Birthday, Polly?
What? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
it's so
Yep,
stupid.
yep.
That robot.
It
though.
is.
Have
it-
either of you seen the alternate cut that Stallone did?
No,
No.
no. I heard about it, but I've never seen it.
So they
haven't
did a 4K box set a couple of years ago, and one of the things that
Yeah, I'm
they
not buying that shit.
put on there is a new alternate cut created by Stallone that adds some deleted scenes, and it takes out a lot of stuff. It completely deletes the entire freaking thing about the robot.
Oh, that's a
Oh
shame.
yeah,
That
the robot,
sucks.
but the robot
That's
was like a
all
small
gone.
portion of it.
Some of the jingoism is a little toned down, and
Mhm.
there's some
Okay.
new scenes added. And I have not seen this, but I'm kind of curious about it. Not enough to go buy that box set, but
No,
you know,
I
it is
won't
a
buy
thing-
it, but
it is a
I'll
thing that
watch
exists
it.
out in the world.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah. Oh yeah, because the jingoism is big time in this. I mean, you're talking 1985. This is like prime Reaganomics. This is prime like evil empire bullshit where we're the best and Russia sucks and all this other stuff. But I always love it for the montage of him in the Lamborghini and the freaking training montage. I mean, there was a point when I was playing ball in college, I would listen to that damn soundtrack is the best.
It is freaking.
It is the best like workout soundtrack. I mean, I'm sorry.
Same guy who
But-
did the score for Transformers the movie as well. Same dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because yes, it is all predictable. The fight's predictable. At the end, it's like he's got to take care of it. With the Russian guy, he's like, "Oh, they're cheering his name. He's got to take care of it." Blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh my god. So yeah, it is the epitome of Cold War propaganda.
Yes.
It is such a United States fuck yeah Cold War propaganda movie. Russia sucks. I mean, Russia does suck. Fuck Russia. But I mean, it's oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Man.
I mean, and it's got such great one-liners too.
Yeah, it's entertaining to watch. I'll say this last thing.
When
Young Sherlock.
when Drago when they have the exhibition between Drago and Apollo,
Yeah.
and they're just sitting at the freaking beginning where they're supposed to just hit the gloves. He's like, "I will break you."
Yes!
We're like, "Oh my god, what the hell?"
Dolph killed it, man. I'm gonna just say that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Dolph is a shit.
He sure
Yeah.
did, man. Not in He-Man though. That's the '86. I'm looking forward to shitting all over that movie when we get to it. But Young Sherlock Holmes is the shit. By the way, it's one of my favorite adaptations of the character. Really cool movie. If you've never seen it, check it out. That's all I got.
All right, so I'm gonna move us into the video games category, which is definitely
Oh.
beefier
Oh yeah.
this year than 1984 was. So I'm going to mention the US launch of the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I'm going to group in all of the games
Mm-hmm.
on this list from the launch:
Hell yeah.
Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Ice Climber, except Wrecking Crew. We're just going to talk about all that collectively.
Let's
so
do it.
NES, we know, famously came on the heels of the video game crash in the North American market in '83. We know that Nintendo marketed this as a toy. They included the useless Rob the Robot as a gimmick to make it more toy-like.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they redesigned the Famicom extensively to make the NES look more like a VCR
Yep.
and less like a video game system. And of course, that worked, and it began to pick up steam in subsequent years. And eventually, at one point, Nintendo was 95% of the US video game market
Yeah.
at the height of their power in this
Wow.
generation.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And,
Huh?
and committing all sorts of big no-nos
Yes.
in terms of like restricting third parties and unfair practices and trying to stop rentals from happening.
Yep.
They were big bullies back in this
The
generation.
biggest.
They were not great.
No, although as a kid you didn't know half of that, but
You didn't know
looking
any of
back,
this, yeah.
looking back, you find out it's like, oh, that's a little icky right there. That sucks. But when the system came out, it was definitely a bombshell that went off. Because then I'm old enough to remember the Atari when it was out. And how that was the end all be all until it wasn't, and then the game crash happened. For me, to me, the game crash never ended or never happened because I went to arcades a lot, so it didn't really seem to affect that. But when the NES came out, it was like a shot rang out in the middle of the night. It was I had no interest in it at first, but a neighbor moved into my my duplex a couple months later after the system came out and had a shit ton of games. And for the next 3 years, I was begging my mom to fucking get us that system. Wouldn't get one until 1988. But one of the first games I ever
You beat me
played.
by 1 year.
Oh yeah, hey, there you go. I got a Christmas 1988, so I'm not sure when you got yours, but
Christmas
yeah,
89.
89. So yeah, if anything, it was a long wait for you then, and that sucks. But yeah, my first game I ever played on it was Gyromite, and when playing Super Mario Brothers for the first time at a Sears where my mom used to work, it was a religious experience, man. It really was. And I wouldn't even play Zelda until like 1990, the first one. It was rough times, man. I mowed a lot of lawns back then to buy games. So it was good times. But yeah, great system, man. Definitely seminal, and it brought the console business back to life here in the United States. So props to Nintendo for at least that.
I will say,
I
out of all of the
love
launch
Excite
titles, the one that deserves the most discussion is original Super Mario Brothers,
Yes.
which is an iconic game.
Mhm.
One of the most important games in the history of video games. Obviously, it served as the model for so many platform games. Of course, yes, there were platform games before, like Pac-Land, but like Super Mario Brothers was the first game to just nail this concept right out of the gate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Super Mario Brothers is a game that, despite the fact that it's 40 years old, it is perfect the way it is, and it still works just as well 40 years later. Meaning, you can play this game whether it's on original hardware or emulation or Nintendo Switch online, and the game plays perfectly in its default state.
Yes.
Not a
Yeah.
game where you need to have save states and rewinds and hacks and whatever to iron out a bunch of flaws and make it more palatable to modern sensibilities. It just fucking works the way that it is. And that is a testament to the brilliance of Miyamoto and his team.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is mostly still together to this day. You don't see that. You don't see that, but most of the cast that worked on this game still work for Nintendo now. So I think that's a blessing to a lot of people who enjoy games, period. And Chris is absolutely right. I've played this game a lot recently because of the Nintendo World Championships game that came out, and you have to break records in that, so you have to play through certain segments of Super Mario Brothers in there. And I'm still floored on how well that game plays and how much charm that game has to this day, and just what it awakens in me when I play it, man. It's the first game I ever beat.
It's the complete package.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's the play, it's everything about it, the music. I mean, it's iconic, and I mean, you just hear that music and you're just like, So,
and
but
I'm not ashamed to say my favorite Nintendo character of all time is Princess Peach, and will still be to this day, mainly because of Super Mario Brothers 2. But this is where she first got her first appearance. So I've enjoyed this game a lot, man. It's a seminal, it's a boilerplate platformer, and everybody should give it a shot.
All right, we have next on this list the Commodore 128 computer system. I didn't have this, so I have
And,
nothing to say.
yeah.
Does anybody have anything to say, or are we moving on?
No, it was a
Moving
great
on.
gaming system. My friend Robert had one when we were growing up in Key West, and every morning I'd go there and play Marble Madness on that system. But a lot of great games are on there, Commando, whatnot. It was probably the best looking system when it came to gaming to the NES. Not as good as the NES, but it was close. And I think a lot about it. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right, next we have Deja Vu, which is part of the Mac Ventures series of games that were made for Macintosh, and very primitive looking graphical adventure games when they launched on the Macintosh in black and white.
Mhm.
They've been remade a couple of times, and especially on the NES, which
Yep.
is where I first encountered this game.
Same.
This game is part of the same series that also includes Shadowgate and The Uninvited,
Yep.
and they all have very similar gameplay and interfaces. Uninvited is and Shadowgate are kind of like horror stories, and Deja Vu is a film noir detective story.
Yep.
This is probably one of the earliest exposures to noir as a genre for me, and it hits all of the hallmarks of a noir story. You play a amnesiac detective who has been framed for murder, and you have to run around Chicago trying to piece together who you are, what actually happened in this crime scene, and who framed you and why, and collect all to clear your name while not getting killed, because there are various ways that you can die in this game, including getting mugged, falling into a construction pit, and being eaten by an alligator in the sewers of Chicago. I'm not kidding.
Of all places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember playing this game during study hall. We had Mac computers at the school I went to, which is weird because that they would have this on here because I went to a Catholic private school. And it's funny that you would have that on. Well, they didn't know back
Somebody
then.
must have snuck that on there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how it was on there, but yeah, I would play in the study hall. And it reminds me of that. In some ways, it reminds me of that game that was on the PlayStation years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Eleanor. In some ways,
Yes.
kind of the same thing.
It's set in the 40s. It's got that same old-timey film noir aesthetic.
And that character had kind of memory issues too, right? If I remember on that game, I haven't played that in years, but I felt that I thought he had some weird stuff going on too. So, but yeah, it's definitely that old timey thing. So
I played this for the first time. I went to the Nintendo World Championships in 1990 over in Norfolk, Virginia, and they had a bunch of new games that hadn't come out yet that had stalls and kiosks for people to play, and this was one of them. So I messed around with it then. I haven't played it since, but I remember the NES version of this game and trying it for the first time before it came out.
Well, you should check out. There's a Game Boy Color port that includes
really?
the second Deja Vu game that was going to be released on but was canceled.
Oh,
and ended up being in this combined collection, and it's got some quality of life improvements. So I would recommend hitting up the Methods Network and playing it that way.
nice. That's super cool.
Next, we have Ghosts and Goblins, the arcade classic platformer action game by Capcom that received a really mediocre NES port the following year, but that's a story for another time. Definitely one of those early incarnations of a fuck you game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has been maintained consistently throughout the life of this series. The arcade game was fun. It also got ported to the Genesis later on by Sega themselves, because that's a whole other story as well. And it still has a fond place in a lot of people's hearts. It also led to the spin-off titles Gargoyle's Quest on the Game Boy and NES and Super NES. Super NES had Demon's Crest, which is an action game. Gargoyle's Quest is an RPG spin-off where you play as the Red from Ghosts and Goblins. It's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
a really good like action RPG hybrid from the early days of Game Boy,
Yes.
and is well suited to the strengths and weaknesses of that system. So check out these games. They're available in many different ways.
Yeah, I played the hell out of Gargoyle's Quest on the Game Boy. I only beat the first. You have to, in order to beat Ghosts and Goblins fully, you have to go through the game twice. I can never beat the second quest, and that goddamn game is so fucking hard.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ghouls and Ghosts, which I guess is like a remix of it, was on the SNES as well. Really cool one, but again, I can only get through the first quest. I can't beat the second. And they recently re-released this game with a new skin on PC and other platforms. So if you never tried Ghouls and Ghosts, you can try that new one out, or Ghosts and Goblins, I should say.
Right, next we have Gradius, the first
Oh,
entry in Konami's long-running shoot 'em up franchise, which is my favorite shoot 'em up franchise. This franchise has had many spin-off titles over the years, named things like Nemesis and Salamander and Life Force, and it's very convoluted, especially since Salamander and Life Force are the same game, but also not. And Salamander also got a very weird OVA spin-off that we talked about here a couple of years ago, so you can go listen to that.
Yep.
Gradius, the original game, which is still available in modern Konami arcade collections on current platforms, and also there's an NES port that you can play on Nintendo Switch Online that came out in 1986. Incidentally, that NES port is the origin point for the Konami code.
Yes, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that. It's the first time I ever had to use it.
Gradius, I would say, kind of like Mario Brothers, it's another game that is just so well
Good.
designed that
Yeah.
it works perfectly as is, even 40 years later. Like, just go fire it up, either the arcade version on the arcade collection or the NES port. It still plays perfectly. Yes, it's got some issues like the well-known Gradius conundrum, where you get way too powered up and then you accidentally die, and suddenly you're facing all these powerful baddies and you're a weenie because you
Yes!
have no powers.
Yeah.
But the power-up system was so innovative for its time by giving you control of when and how to power up the Vic Viper, and it looked great for a game from 1985. It's got a great soundtrack, some kind of iffy sound effects, but it's such a well-designed game. There were so many sequels and spin-offs. It even popped up as a fucking mecha in Zone of the Enders too.
Yes,
so it's had a long life, and it even got the weird parody spin-off series Parodius.
Yep.
So it's the granddaddy of shoot 'em up games, and it is for a reason, because this game just stands the test of time.
Yeah.
You
Yep,
said everything
I
I need to
agree.
say. If anything, I love this
Yeah.
series. I have one of the collections on the Switch, so it's been a favorite of mine for years.
All right, next we have the Oregon Trail, the PC game that we all played in school, and we all died of dysentery.
You bet.
And they have dysentery outbreaks in Oregon happening right now, so we're ready. We trained for this our whole lives.
Well, actually, I've seen the revised thing online about the new Oregon Trail. Yeah, you have measles. You have died of measles. So that's the new one. So
There's also a zombie
Yikes.
spin-off more recently called the Oregon Trail.
yeah,
Oh, that's horrible. I had no idea that existed.
yeah.
Oh man, when I learned how to ford the river in this game, it was a good day. It was a good day. I played this in middle school. No, sorry, 5th grade in elementary school years ago. It was definitely a unique experience, to say the least.
So next we have Paperboy, a classic arcade title that was ported to pretty much every system known to man at the time, where
Yeah.
you play a kid on a bicycle who is trying to deliver papers to the most deranged neighborhood that could ever possibly exist, full
Yes.
of things like the Grim Reaper, angry dogs, just everything trying to kill you while you're just throwing papers at people's houses, and really fun game.
I love
Don't
the
they call it the villages? And
yes.
where you
Yes,
guys
There
live?
you go.
Like,
yes, it is.
You said
Correct.
it.
now they just have red hats and they scream at you for being DEI or something like that. So,
I mean, my favorite thing about this game is playing in the arcades on the handlebars that are on the arcade machine, and also
oh yeah,
the satisfaction you get when you throw a newspaper in the mailbox. That is my shit. I could rarely do it, but when you do it, and you get all those points. It's the best. But
yeah.
also,
That was a big point power up, wasn't
it
it?
was, or when you hit somebody with it, when someone runs out of their house to attack you,
Yeah.
and you fucking throw a newspaper in their face. Let's go. It's good shit.
And next we have a 2-for-1 of Yu Suzuki and Sega AM2, and that is Space Harrier and Hang On.
Oh yeah.
One of them is a sci-fi action title. The other is a motorcycle racing game, both making use of Sega's superscalar technology to give you the illusion of depth in 3D. You'd also see it in other titles later on, like Outrun and Afterburner, and these are two classic games that have been ported over and over and over, and you can even play them inside of the arcades of Yakuza games.
Yes.
So they are literally all over the place, and they are definitely classics of that time in the 80s when Sega just ruled the arcades.
Yeah, the cool thing about a lot of Sega arcade games is that the arcade machine itself would be like an attraction piece. With Hang On, it was just cool to get on top of the bike and then swing it left to swing it right. Just the experience playing those games was great. Hang On was always my favorite of the two, but I love Space Harrier as well.
Hang on, and I know it's not in here, but when I remember the first time I saw the arcade, Afterburner.
Yes.
I was floored, dude. I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. And I mean, it was just, because you were basically in the cockpit of, I guess, what, an F-16 or something. I don't even know what it was at that point, but or F4, probably F-14, right?
F-14.
Yeah, it was that was the big thing back then. But it just blew you away. I mean, you're just sitting there like, oh my god, this is so cool. you weren't even really looking at I remember watching it, and I'm like, I wasn't even really looking at the game. I was just looking at I was like, holy shit, he's controlling this, and he's going up and down and around, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I mean, crazy, and that happened 40 years ago.
Damn it.
So,
Yep. Next up, we have one of the all-time greats, the original Soviet version of Tetris by Alexei Pajitnov. Of course, Tetris needs no introduction. One of the most well-known games in video game industry. Really took the world by storm. It was on arcades. It was embroiled in legal battles. It was the pack-in title for the Game Boy that really helped that game and that system take off and be played by literally everyone, including, businessmen in suits. One of the most important games of all time. Frankly, like that's not we're selling it, and you can play the Game Boy version and the NES version, which is used in modern tournament play on Nintendo Switch Online. That's the first time the NES version's ever been re-released. And Digital Eclipse has a collection called Tetris Forever that does not include those two, but it includes a lot of other Tetris variations, including a recreation of the original Soviet PC version.
Yes.
And it's got a lot of documentary interviews with Alexei Pajitnov, Hank Rogers, who helped bring it to the Game Boy, and personally, one of my favorite incarnations is Tetris DS. I just love the gameplay modes and all the classic Nintendo franchises that are referenced in it. But there's a version of Tetris for everyone. They've done so many variations of the concept, but sometimes you just want the good old classic.
Yes.
Just for a quick little play.
When I play Tetris 99 on the Switch, I play it at least once a week. I put the NES skin on there, or the Game Boy skin, because I don't want too many distractions going on when I play the game, but it still lives rent free in my mind. Going down to the actual music that plays in the game too. If you guys have not seen it, there's a really good biopic about Tetris, about the origins of it and the struggle to get it from Russia throughout the rest of the world, and it features Alexei and his friendship with Hank. Forget his last name, but the man that helped to
Rogers.
Hank Rogers. You got it.
I literally just
Oh,
said
you
it
just
2
said
minutes
it.
ago.
Sorry about that. Hank Rogers. Yeah. The fact that that it was such a struggle to get it here. It's just a fantastic retelling of the events. It's not completely accurate. For that, you probably want to look up any number of documentaries on YouTube about it. But yeah, fantastic retelling of how that game became a worldwide sensation.
I would recommend watching the 1-hour documentary, "The Story of Tetris" by the gaming historian.
Thank you. I was trying to remember
one of
that.
the many great documentaries that he produced. So,
Yep.
so check that out. It's a fascinating story on its own. They also there's also some other books. There's one I haven't read, but I hear is pretty good, called "The Tetris Effect," that goes into all of this. So, there's a lot you can read up about all of the political intrigue and all the licensing and the lawsuits and the unlicensed Tengen version, and it's a whole convoluted thing, but it's absolutely a fascinating part of video game industry.
The Mega Drive
Right,
version
'cause-
that got canceled. Oh, go ahead, Neil. Sorry.
Too.
Well, no, because you got to think about it. It's like we just said with Rocky IV. This is the height of the Cold War, and the fact that the hottest game in there is coming from the Soviet Union. It's like
Well, as they advertised this back in the day as a riff on James Bond, the tagline was "From Russia with fun."
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, and once again, it what makes it so great is it's so simple. I mean, the concept is simple. Yes, the game ends up being harder as you start to go through it, but the concept of just getting, the lines across and just clearing them out, it's simple. And there's only the controls are just move it this way, move it that way, and there's not much there. But it just
I think Tetris is the epitome of that saying of a game that is easy to learn but difficult to master.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And had wide appeal, like you said. I mean, just had wide appeal, and I think still probably has wide appeal because it is so simple. It's got such a low barrier of entry, but then yes, you'll probably never get great at it. None of us will.
There's a modern licensed smartphone version. It kind of sucks because it's full of like ads and unlocks and shit. But if you want to play the old school versions, there's so many different types of Tetris out there. You'll find something that fits what you want.
And I don't think it's on Game Pass anymore, but the Tetris Connected one, that was good. That was a different take of it because it had the weirder music, and you kind of would progress through it, and that was also one of those games.
Tetris Effect.
Tetris Effect, yeah. I think it was Tetris Effect Connected or something. I forget. And it was cool, but yeah, same thing. It just you could never master it. I don't think I would always crap out at the same point on some of those. It was like, oh, level 35, I'm screwed. I just can't. I can't keep up.
See, says in the chat, if you play Tetris with a group of friends, it turns into a block party.
You bet.
Oh,
He can't help himself.
yeah.
And Dollar writes over in the chat, Tetris Effect is the music-based one. So yeah, I know Show plays that a lot. So it's a pretty. Cool
I don't think it's on Game Pass anymore. I have it on there, but it doesn't work for me anymore because I think it's off. Like once they take those shits off there, a lot of times they don't work for you anymore. Yeah. I love that one because it was like relaxing, even though you would start getting stressed out because each level it got faster and faster. So,
yeah.
But
I want to thank both Yup and Robin in the chat for donating bits to the the Twitch stream. Thank you guys very much for that as well. I just want to point that out. But yeah, Tetris, iconic game.
The next we have Ultima 4 Quest of the Avatar. This is open world RPG. It was originally on PC. It was ported to, pretty much every fucking computer and console you can imagine, including the NES. Never played it. I've actually never played any Ultima game. They were a little too old for my time.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, it is an open world game, and it was one of the earliest RPGs to implement a morality system based on choices that you make, and that obviously have become such an integral part of RPGs from companies like BioWare and whatnot. So I know it's a classic, as are many of the Ultima games, but it's just not something that I ever touched.
It was never my thing.
Yeah, I didn't
at
really,
that point. Yeah.
I didn't get into RPGs really until RPGs in general until Dragon Quest, the first one. But I've always heard about the Ultima games and Richard Garriott as well. So I want to say that I'm not sure about this, but I think the Ultima series had some kind of effect in the Japanese market, and it led to games like Dragon Quest being made. So maybe there was some kind of inspiration or whatnot from the original releases of these games to move that trend forward. Who knows?
Ultima and Wizardry were two American series that had very heavy influences on Japanese RPGs.
Gotcha, because I know
I think Wizardry more so.
Yeah, FCI ported them over in Japan. So yeah, I'm guessing if anything, you're absolutely right. But cool, man. The whole morality system situation, that's pretty innovative for back then. I had no idea about that until you mentioned it.
All right. In the interest of time, does anybody want to say anything about the remaining titles of the list, excluding the fact, of course, that all the NES launch titles have already been
mentioned?
I just loved Excite Bike back in the day.
Hell yeah!
Got me into all these racing games.
So it's a fun game.
Yeah, it was just the shit. I loved it.
Yeah, for me, Excite Bike was definitely dope. But Yai Air Kung Fu, it was definitely instrumental to defining the fighting game genre. It was I played it back in the day myself, and I didn't realize it came out in '85. In Japan, it looks like it came out in '84, but here in '85, and yeah, I have fond memories of playing this game in the arcades. So
America only matters, man.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Center of the world.
Outside of Frogger, this might be the first Konami game I ever played. Frogger was the first. This would be the second.
Frogger.
We'll say for the rest of this list, I did play in the arcade a lot Gauntlet and Commando. So those were two fun titles back in the day.
The top-down action.
Wizard needs food badly.
Exactly. I sucked at Gauntlet. I was so bad at that shit.
I think everybody did.
Oh, that game was so hard.
It was not one of those games designed for you to be good at. It was designed to be a quarter muncher, like they all.
Yeah, it was yeah.
Damn you, Atari. Commando. Yeah. I used to play that all the time on the Commodore computer that my friend had. So I got really familiar with that, and I love the sequel to that. Bionic Commando is one of my favorite games of all time. So yeah, it's
the Commodore had that weird like integrated keyboard, right? Like the keyboard was like integrated to like the hard drive or something. I just remember is that what it was?
Yeah,
it was different, right? Like the keyboard was all part of.
It's part of the bottom bevel. It was part of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a cool system. My first foray into PC gaming, so I thank that system a lot for that.
I don't know. It's probably in 1995, but remember the Panasonic one, the disc one, the gaming disc one. I forget what the hell that thing was called. I had a friend of mine that had that a lot too.
I know a lot of game companies had PC. A lot of video game companies had PC variants. Atari had one. I'm sure Panasonic had one, as you mentioned. I never saw that one though.
I remember had a bunch.
Oh yeah.
Most of them incompatible.
Yeah, exactly. Sega had one too, but I don't think it came to the States. And Microsoft had one, the MSX, which was in Japan specifically, and that's where Metal Gear made its first appearance. Yeah, and a lot of other classic Konami games like Castlevania and whatnot too.
All right, so I think that brings everything to a close, and this was 95 in movies, TV, anime, and video games. Shame that we missed not having Pedro on this episode to share his insights, but we will be sure to have him back in the next couple of months when we jump ahead a decade to 1995. So I will turn things back over to Sobro to tell us all the websites.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, make sure to visit mahq.net. That's the Mecha and Anime headquarters. Make sure to go there and hit the favorites button. Also, as you guys heard about during the show tonight, about the new Ko-fi. If you want to donate and support the website, you're more than welcome to do that by going there. There's a widget right there on the website that you can go to and either subscribe to support on a monthly basis or make a one-time donation. Head on over there. You can find links to it on MAHQ itself or over on the I was about to say Twitter, the Blue Sky or the Facebook. Blue Sky and Facebook, both the website addresses are now MAHQ.net, as well as the YouTube channel. We've streamlined all of them to be the same. So MAHQ.net. Go there and update your bookmarks if you haven't already. And yeah, you can also listen to the show over on the YouTube channel as well. Hit the thumbs up button if you like tonight's show, and hit the subscribe button if it's your first time here and you want to see future episodes. If you're watching over on twitch.tv/FightersReady, thank you for your support over there, and hit the follow button over there if you guys want to be notified when we go to stream next. And thank you.
Yeah, the 3DO.
Oh, Panasonic 3DO? Yo, in the early 90s, yeah. Old Trip Hawkins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trip's Folly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It certainly was.
I don't remember it being that terrible, but I think the games were frustrating because everything would crap out on it. So, but right. Anything else before we end it out tonight?
That's all I have. Thank you guys for listening to the show. And we'll see you guys next episode.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. This was episode 309 of Gundam and MHQ, going back to what Solbro says here, good old 1985, and we will go forward to 1995 somewhere soon this year. We definitely have to get it done in 2025 because it wouldn't make sense if we pushed it out any further. But we'll be back in a few weeks with another episode of Gundam and MHQ. See you guys later.